And Prof, Amy Jacobson. And so, Amy, a lot of action on the campaign trail yesterday. We got
It's better than a soap opera, really.
we got Trump asking for a do-over in Iowa. Everybody else has moved on from Iowa except Donald Trump. He's still obsessing about it. He wants a do-over. Jeb Bush wants people to clap for him. And Lindsey Graham says Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz are too conservative, and then endorsements are flying all over the place. We'll have one of the most surprising endorsements that we talked about a little bit yesterday. Senator Scott Brown, the former senator from Massachusetts.
Yay. I brought my copy of the GQ issue he was featured in.
Me too.
Yeah. Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
took it off your wall, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Oh, that's going to be nice.
He joins us at 7:05 to explain why he decided to endorse Donald Trump.
Yeah, that was pretty shocking. Who did you think he was going to endorse?
I didn't think about it at all, frankly, because I don't think endorsements actually mean that much. But when they're surprising, and when you have a candidate that is not exactly being embraced by the institutional elements of the party, I mean, that's what Scott Brown was. He wasn't like he was some rabid conservative senator from Massachusetts during his term, and narrowly losing in New Hampshire when he ran against Jeanne Shaheen last cycle. So he's kind of a popular guy in New England, and it's just an interesting pair. It's not a pair that you would necessarily put together. He was kind of understated and soft-spoken.
Yeah,
and those are not adjectives normally associated with Donald Trump.
No, Donald Trump, he's still stewing that, Marco Rubio stole all of the oxygen out of the room, and that everybody who celebrated the third-place victory instead of his second-place win.
He comes in third. I come in second. Trump, no good. Rubio, unbelievable night, unbelievable victory. The headline is, winner of the night, Marco Rubio.
Yeah, he'll get over that eventually, right? Do you think so?
Yeah, and he went on to also say in various forums that his second-place finish should be looked at as one of the great victories in political history.
See, he's the only person who can make second place great again. You don't have to be in first. Second's fine.
But I mean, his do-over, he tweeted, because when he's not having one of these big, frankly, well-attended rallies. He was in Little Rock yesterday, 12,000 people in Little Rock.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. Also, it shows you he's already got an eye towards Super Tuesday, which is, frankly, pretty smart on his point, from his perspective. But he tweeted regarding Cruz, Ted Cruz didn't win Iowa. He stole it. That is why all the polls were so wrong and why he got 4 more votes than anticipated. He had first accused Cruz of illegally stealing, which is a bit redundant. But he did call for a new election, or for Ted Cruz's win in Iowa to be nullified because
so maybe
of
we're not done
illegal stealing.
With Matt Strawn from Iowa.
Yeah, no, I think we're done.
Are you sure? I was thinking we should call Matt Strawn, the former Iowa GOP head, and just see what's going to be the next step. But I mean,
the next step is we're going to go on to the New Hampshire primary, and eventually Donald Trump will get over what happened in Iowa and move on. I mean, this is good Trump. This is classic Trump. He will make the outlandish claim. He will tackle subjects people have moved off of so as to differentiate himself from what everyone else is talking about and to continue to be the center of attention. The whole play with the decisions he makes in terms of topics to cover and, frankly, I think to some extent how to cover them. I mean, he may be a bit limited, but this is how he's going to cover the topics he chooses, is to do so to maintain Washington press corps focus on him. The more the Washington press corps remains focused on him, it's to the exclusion of the other candidates. It's ultimately to the electoral benefit of Trump.
Yeah, but this is the first time, Dan, I actually agree with Donald Trump, because I think what Ted Cruz did was a bit tricky. Can I remind everyone what happened? I mean, he came out and said that Ben Carson was essentially, he was not going on to New Hampshire or South Carolina, that he was going home, implying that he was dropping out of the race.
He didn't say that. His campaign apparently was putting that out.
Okay, and yesterday, Tom Yamas from ABC News confronted Ted Cruz and asked him about it.
You got to understand.
Is it a dirty trick to confuse voters?
Is it a dirty trick to pass on your news stories? You're in the business. Would you think it was a dirty trick if I was forwarding an ABC story? Or is it just a dirty trick to pass on CNN stories?
It was the first time I saw Ted Cruz really get angry and agitated, and he seemed, he seemed way out of line, because he apologized to Ben Carson for spreading the rumor he was dropping out.
Yawn.
Really? You don't think this is a big issue?
No.
You don't think this is a dirty trick?
Nobody cares.
Ted Cruz's father's coming on at 8:38. Should we ask him about it?
They ask him about it. I mean, this, Ben Carson's naivete is a nice indication of his personal integrity, and I like Ben Carson a lot. I have tremendous respect for him. It's a campaign. This stuff happens.
This stuff happens all the time.
I mean, it's the whole voter violation mailer and trying to make that into a big issue. Like the Iowa Attorney General is investigating. Like there were going to be criminal charges brought. We're going to have show trials.
People don't like to get report cards in the mail showing that they haven't voted.
Actually, you're wrong, which is why they got those mailers, because the social science suggests that if you shame people into voting such that they believe they're going to be publicly reported for not having voted, they're more likely to vote. I mean, that's the social science. That's why it's done. Do you think these campaigns, especially kind of in the era of big data, and Ted Cruz has run a disciplined campaign, both from a messaging perspective with respect to the candidate, but also with respect to the organization, that they are measuring the words and phrases they use, like going after New York values versus Iowa values. Ted Cruz didn't say that willy-nilly. That wasn't off the cuff. That was poll tested. The mailings that they do have a specific end game that is rooted in some science. So you look at this stuff and you say, "Oh, okay, well that's dumb," or people are going to be offended by that. Some people might. It gets
but
into
it's effective.
It's effective for the people that you need it to be effective. On balance, it's maximizing your marginal political campaign dollar. And for the people that are wringing their hands about this, first of all, nobody cares. It has no impact on their life. People are moving on. Iowa's an old story, except from Donald Trump's perspective, and it's nothing.
So you don't see this going away? I see this growing, this controversy growing, because he did issue the apology, and they did come forward and say, last night when our political team saw the CNN post, blah blah blah, Dr. Carson was not carrying on to New Hampshire and South Carolina. Our campaign updated the grassroots leaders just as we would with any breaking news story. That's fair game. What the team should have done is send around the follow-up statement from the Carson campaign clarifying that he was indeed staying in the race.
The internal machinations of these campaigns is so fascinating for people that are worried about putting food on their table or worried about their kids' education.
Do you think he pulled some votes from Ben Carson because of his statement? I mean, is that what put him over the top?
Ben Carson got about 9.5% of the vote.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Carson was polling for the last 3 weeks at about between 9 and 10% of the vote.
Oh.
I mean, I think perhaps. I mean, I can't say.
Okay, that's a solid argument in your defense.
I can't say for sure. I mean, a few votes. I can't say, but it's a difficult case to make out. I mean, I can't say that, but the converse of the argument is very difficult to prove as well. Now, just to close on Donald Trump here, he was asked about how a second-place finish.
Oh,
he was asked at the New Hampshire how a second-place finish could impact the Trump brand of invincibility.
Well, if you look at the second place, people didn't talk about my second place. They didn't talk about it as positively as they should have. And yet with Marco, who was more than 2,000 votes behind me, that's a lot of votes, by the way, they said, oh, he's surging. So I don't know, why is the third place person doing well and the second place person, who, by the way, has never run, Scott was mentioning before, said, one of the amazing things about you've never run for office before. It's incredible how you're doing because
what about your
you've
brand?
never done.
Your brand
I think
a
my
winner.
brand's doing great, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's not doing bad. By the way, so now we're 48 hours, well, 36 hours, but a couple of days removed from Iowa now. People are turning their sights on New Hampshire. The immediate impact of what happened in Iowa, both for Cruz and Rubio, has not translated yet into impact in New Hampshire. It hasn't. I mean, Trump's lead is still between 22 and 24 points, according to the Real Clear Politics polling average, and there were some surveys out yesterday. So just pointing that out. Okay.
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line.
All right, Amy, you've got some women that are joining you to gang up on me, so let's get to them. Pamela in Yorkville.
Hey, how are you, Dan?
Good.
And Amy, I just wanted to tell you that I think you're totally full of it. Because, and let me tell you why, because if Trump or one of his members tweeted out that Cruz or Rubio were dropping out of the race, so vote for him, you'd be flipping out and hammering him to no end.
No, I
And
wouldn't.
you're sounding like, oh, yes, you would.
Hey, Pamela, Pamela, tell me more about me and what I would do given various hypothetical situations.
I'm telling you, you're biased. You don't like Trump, and it's coming through. You sound like Megyn Kelly right now. She's completely biased, and I can't even watch her.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that you'd hammer. Come on, Amy, tell me I'm not wrong.
Well,
He'd hammer.
I'll be honest with you. My true feelings.
Call,
I was
Pamela.
worried to even bring up this story because I know he's your guy. But I just think it was a dirty trick, and he apologized for it, though.
I understand. My point is,
should he fire that staff member who released the information? I mean, what?
I'll tell you what. Everybody can work themselves into a lather about this. That's fine. And as I said, I like Ben Carson. I've liked Ben Carson for a long time before anybody else who follows Ben Carson now, who voted for Ben Carson, Iowa, even knew who he was. So it's not because I want Ben Carson to be treated badly, or because I'm in the tank for Cruz, such that I'm only going to say positive things about Ted Cruz. I've also said that his personal style is a bit grating, and he comes across as unctuous. And I wish he had a different kind of mannerism, some different mannerisms than he actually does. Yes, Cruz is the most reliable conservative. That's why I'm supporting him. I'm not in love with him. Okay, so I mean, it's just the internal back and forth of campaigns. You can believe me or not believe me. It does not translate into electoral difference. So these are blips on the radar that are fleeting. So to the extent that people want to obsess about it, that's great. Unfortunately, after South Carolina, according to Ben Carson, not according to me, according to Ben Carson, if he doesn't show well in New Hampshire or South Carolina, he's gone. And it will have nothing to do with Ted Cruz.
He said that to Newsmax. If he doesn't place in the top 3 in either Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, he's done.
Ed in Oak Brook.
Yeah, the only thing I got to say is, didn't Ben Carson do everything possible to look like he was pulling out of the race? Did he not go to Florida and he said he was going to get close? Unbelievable. Did he not go to some church service? Unbelievable. In other words, if the guy was in the fight, you stay in the fight until you get knocked out. He looks like he's really in that of the race. So I don't see what he's crying about. And I think Trump is carrying on too much about it. And Dan, I got to say that, and Danny and Amy, you guys are the only hosts that when you get a caller that's critical of you, you let them on for a while. Most of these guys will just hang up immediately. That's how your show is so great.
Thanks for the call, Ed. Thanks for the call, Ed.
Oh, you just hung up on Ed.
No, I mean, I appreciate it. I think maybe he made his point, as Ed always does. All right, so let's have more people pile up on me. Consistent with Ed's enjoyment of that aspect of our show. We'll do that, so stay on the lines right after this.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Today, we're going to have some sunshine. Clouds to begin with, but partly sunny skies by the afternoon. That's nice. A high right on target of 32 degrees. And then tomorrow, Friday, some sun, then turning cloudy. Once again, high of 32 degrees. Let's get the travel times. Anything pleasant out there, Jim Telemonte?
Good morning, Amy. Good morning, Dan. Nothing really to get angry about at the moment. Things are looking pretty good on the expressways and tollways. As usual, a little heavy now on the inbound ride from Cermak into downtown Chicago. It's about a 3-minute delay. Bishop Ford, about a 1-minute delay. Cottage Grove to the Merge. The other expressways and tollways, pretty good right now. There's a vehicle fire on the southwest side east of Midway on 63rd at Kildare. And units are responding in Palatine to a reported crash on Algonquin at Roselle. Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com, Traffic Center.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to drill down and talk about the big ideas behind the big issues. That's where Upstream Ideas comes in. Upstream Ideas, online at upstream-ideas.com, in partnership with the Illinois Opportunity Project, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted orthodoxies. In other words, Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks Upstream. Go online now to upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to spur you on to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit more free, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
I'm Lex, CEO of Balance of Nature. At Balance of Nature, we believe in real communication. Whether you call into the office or hear a success story on the radio, you can be sure it's real, unsolicited, and unscripted conversation.
There were times I was finding myself almost falling asleep at the wheel, that I had to pull over. That's the first thing I noticed, that hasn't happened since I've been taking Balance of Nature. I'm in sales, so I do a lot of walking during the day that would tire me out. I'm not as fatigued. I feel good.
The top 3 New Year's resolutions are health-related. Improve your odds by getting started early with our best price of the year. Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
Christmas and the New Year are over. It's time to think a little about yourself. Maybe treat yourself to a MyPillow. I'm Joe Walsh, and I have slept better for years with MyPillow. If you've procrastinated, don't put it off. MyPillow is a premium pillow with 4 different loft levels that's customized to your individual preference. And for my listeners who use the promo code Joe, you'll get 2 MyPillows for the price of 1. It's MyPillow's best offer. It's so important. Get a great night's sleep. MyPillow helps with snoring, headaches, neck pain, insomnia, and allergies. Plus, it's washable, keeps its shape, and gives you support where you need it most. That's why it's the official pillow of the National Sleep Foundation. For this 2 for the price of 1 offer, visit MyPillow.com or call 1-800-489-0201 and use that promo code Joe. Do it now, 1-800-489-0201 or online at MyPillow.com. Promo code Joe, 1-800-489-0201.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, all right, I thought we were moving on to New Hampshire, but apparently I was wrong because we have a lot of callers and a co-host who want to talk about Ted Cruz and Ben Carson and what happened in Iowa.
Dirty tricks, man.
And
that's what it was.
And Trump wants a redo, so maybe we can reach critical mass for a redo there. I don't think so. Holly and Hudson, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, you two. I love waking up and listening to you. But,
Thank
Dan,
you.
I agree with Amy 100% on this. I think the more that Cruz speaks, the less friendly he looks. That angry exchange exposed his nastiness. And the real problem with what happened in Iowa is that it exposed Cruz for what he claims he's not, and that's a typical politician.
Okay, Holly, thanks for the call.
Gosh, I love you. Because you haven't seen the exchange that we played. The angry exchange where all of a sudden it looked like the devil came into his eye and he was not going to have any of it. He looked a little crazed. Did you like my interpretation of what happened?
I can't tell if you're doing an impersonation of Ted Cruz or Tom Ricketts.
They do look exactly the same.
Greg and LaGrange.
Hey, how you doing today?
Hey.
Yeah, the devil got in his eyes. Yeah, okay. The thing about the whole Carson thing is CNN broke the story, all right? And that story came out much earlier in the day, and the Cruz announcement about Carson came late in the day. It really had no effect on Carson's showing in Iowa. And the very fact that Trump is starting to cry again, it just shows you how little the man is. It's really a big problem. Cruz is not perfect. I'm with Dan on a lot of stuff. I'm with Dan on this. Right. Cruz isn't perfect, but he's a conservative in the race.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, but he was smarter than this. They knew exactly what they were doing. His campaign knew exactly what they're doing when they say he's going home to Florida.
Thanks for the call, Greg.
Right.
But
they didn't say he's coming back tomorrow to New Hampshire and then going to be campaigning later this week in South Carolina.
Here's the thing. But I don't know what the threshold is for quote unquote negative campaigning or unethical campaigning anymore. But here's the thing: if bad news comes out about one of your opponents, you share it. And you just say, but wait, here's some good news context.
And you did take me to task yesterday for saying, we care Ben Carson's schedule, but he went home to West Palm, Florida to change clothes. But then he was going back on the campaign trail. But they never put that in, Dan. They left that out.
We should have said he was just packing an overnight bag. Ben, why are you in Florida? We need to fill in our press release about your absence.
Why aren't you here?
Dave and Wheaton, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer. Dave.
Oh, Dan and Amy. Listening to the back and forth here, the one thing I'm surprised about is that it's been reported in the news that the Rubio campaign did the same thing, but nobody seems to be talking about that. They're just piling on Cruz. Cruz's campaign.
What did the Rubio campaign do?
They picked up the tweets and were
you mean
about them at the caucuses.
About Carson, you mean?
And Carson changing
about
his
Carson.
in
Got
Florida.
it.
Rubio campaign spread the Carson rumors at the caucuses as well.
Thanks for the call, Dave. Scott on the West Side.
Hey, thanks, Dan, for taking my call. Dan, I agree with you 99.9% of the time, and on this topic, you are absolutely 100% correct. When I heard the tweet, I dismissed it 5 seconds later. It means nothing. It had absolutely no effect on the people that voted for Carson. If it does, it doesn't say too much for the voters.
Thanks for the call, Scott, and I agree with you 99.9% of the time as well.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. You know, nothing frustrates me more than liberal hypocrisy. Take our food, for example. You know, the left claims to care about the poor and the environment, but guess what? They're waging a silent war against America's farmers that is making our food supply more costly and less sustainable. America's family farmers are producing more food using less land and fewer resources than ever before. Now, they should be cheered, but instead, radical groups are working with government bureaucrats to crack down on our farmers and limit the tools and technology that they're allowed to use. Now, the result is higher food costs for you, the American consumer, and low-income families, they're hit the hardest. Now, thankfully, someone is fighting back. Protect the Harvest is a national coalition working to defend modern American agriculture. You can check them out at protecttheharvest.com and follow them on Facebook to get the very latest news and see how you can help. Don't let radical activists control your family's food choices. Visit protecttheharvest.com today.
You've heard us talking about it for weeks. I'm talking about our Escape to Cabo trip to the Secrets Puerto Los Cabos Golf and Spa Resort. That's April 2nd through the 9th, presented by Dermatology and Plastic Surgery Associates and by Artistic Dentistry. The exclusive Apple Vacations price has expired, but there's still limited availability at a slightly higher price. So if you want to join us in Cabo, you need to take action now. We're staying at the Secrets Puerto Los Cabos Golf and Spa Resort, all-inclusive, all-suites resort that opened in December of 2013. 8 restaurants, 4 bars, unlimited premium drinks, 24 hours a day room service. The resort has 2 sparkling pools and access to 3 miles of pristine beaches. And adjacent to the resort, 2 9-hole golf courses designed by the Bear and the Shark. So to book your trip, visit am560theanswer.com, keyword escape. And coming up after we check the headlines, the Democrats had some things to say at a candidate forum yesterday. Bernie and Hillary square off. Bernie can't understand how anyone could make $200,000 in an hour. Look out, Oprah. But now let's check the headlines with Mike Scott.
Dan, good morning. We have cloudy skies and 24 degrees. In Florida, Governor Rick Scott ordering his Surgeon General to declare a public health emergency in 4 Florida counties where folks have been diagnosed with the Zika virus. We're watching a developing story at Johns Hopkins University, their School of Medicine this morning, where the head of the Diabetes Center says researchers may have come upon, quote, potentially the real deal, end quote, in their search for a cure for type 1 diabetes. Johnson & Johnson is joining forces with biotech company ViaCyte and Johns Hopkins to speed development of the first stem cell treatment that could fix the life-threatening hormonal disorder. They've already begun testing on a small number of human diabetic patients. Republican presidential candidate Ben Carson steamed this morning at rival Ted Cruz.
Question. Is it okay after being on the road for almost 3 weeks to go home and get a fresh change of clothes? Or is that a problem? Does that make somebody into an evil, horrible person?
The retired neurosurgeon lit into Ted Cruz and Donald Trump during a press conference yesterday. Meantime, Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders made their pitch to voters in a relaxed atmosphere on CNN last night.
We are taking on the most powerful political organization in the country, and that's, the Clinton organization. Secretary Clinton obviously ran here in 2008, and she won.
The two remaining Democratic presidential candidates took part in a town hall forum in Derry hosted by CNN. Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson says right now the agency knows of no specific credible threat against the Super Bowl.
Federal Homeland Security and law enforcement officials are working overtime along with the NFL and state and local law enforcement to ensure a safe and successful Super Bowl event.
So you got a Fitbit for Christmas or one of those fitness trackers that you wear on your wrist. Could be leaking important personal information this morning. Canadian researchers say devices like the Fitbit or Basis Peak don't just track your steps and your heart rate, they also let people track you. This morning, a developing story at the University of Chicago where a fraternity is accused of sending racist emails. An anonymous member of Alpha Epsilon Pi passed along emails to BuzzFeed. The group emails were sent to all members of the Jewish fraternity and included a host of derogatory and what some might call racist comments about Muslims and blacks. A spokesman for the fraternity dismissed them as private emails and said the Jewish fraternity is especially sensitive to hate speech. Chicago sports, Bulls over Sacramento, 107-102. College hoops, Fighting Illini scrambled a Big Ten win over Rutgers in triple overtime, 110-101. The news service of Lead Safe America, 1 in 3 kids in America may have lead in their blood. No level is safe. Lead poisoning causes learning disabilities and behavioral disorders. Has your child been tested? Learn more at leadsafeamerica.org. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
America right now is better off than it's ever been. Man, if I thought that, I wouldn't fight.
The Joe Walsh Show.
52% of young people would do away with the First Amendment. We have people being fined and threatened with jail time for exercising their religious freedom. Yes, I am a pessimist, but that's why I fight.
The Joe Walsh Show. Weeknights starting at 5. Right after Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 on your mobile device. Now available on iHeartRadio. Online at iHeartRadio.com.
Valentine's Day is next week, and Pro Flowers is offering an amazing deal. 1 dozen assorted roses plus a free glass vase for just $19.99. And this week only, we will also include chocolates for free. Go to proflowers.com, click on the microphone in the right corner, and enter code 1515. But hurry, this incredible deal expires this Friday. Order now from Pro Flowers. You pick the delivery date, and it's guaranteed. 1 dozen stunning assorted roses, guaranteed to stay fresh and beautiful for at least 7 days for $19.99. And we'll include a vase for free. Fresh flowers, guaranteed delivery, and add-ons to complete your gift. Pro Flowers has everything you need to win Valentine's Day. But hurry, this incredible deal expires this Friday. The only way to get this amazing Valentine's Day deal is to visit proflowers.com. Click on the blue microphone in the upper right corner and enter the secret code 1515. That's proflowers.com, secret code 1515.
A check of the roads this morning in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. In Arlington Heights, there's a crash on Rand Road at Dryden. Southwest side, arson investigators are at the intersection of 63rd and Kildare. There's some vehicles been on fire there. On Ryan, it's slow from Cermak to the Burns Circle. It's 19 minutes, 95th to downtown. Bishop Ford just a little slow approaching the merge. The other expressways, no significant delays yet. Traffic is a service of Whole Foods Market. Save today at your local Whole Foods Market. Organic whole trade grape tomatoes are just $3 per 16-ounce package. And get 3 pints of blueberries for just $10. Visit Whole Foods Market, America's healthiest grocery store. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the AirComfort.com Weather Center, 80 years of mechanical solutions for your business. Intervals of clouds and sunshine today, high 32. 24 at O'Hare. Next news at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the IRS Radio Hour with attorney Stephen Leahy every Sunday afternoon at 5 on AM 560, The Answer.
You want more than just the headlines? Find out what's going on and what it means with me, Dennis Prager, this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy.
Did you watch it?
Watch what?
Oh, the Democratic Town Hall meeting, the big forum yesterday in Derby, New Hampshire. Derry, New Hampshire. Did you watch it?
No.
Not any of it?
No, I saw some of the clips. That was sufficient.
You saw some of the clips and all the people in the audience asking crazy questions about end-of-life choices, women in the military.
End-of-life choices, that's simple. I mean, I know the answers to all the questions. End-of-life choice, 75 and you're done. Zeke Emanuel said so.
Okay.
That's it. That's all
Next
you get.
Question. Should women register or should women be forced to, should women be drafted? If we implement a draft again, should women, if you're 18 and older?
I mean, who's talking about conscription? Really?
My
Yes,
favorite.
Yes. Here's what I think.
Uh-huh.
I think in the interest of the new feminist era and to serve the Cackle Caucus, I think if we had the draft again, only women should be drafted.
There you go.
Because they should be the leaders.
Exactly. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. What kind of
and by the way, enjoy the front lines. Let me know how it goes.
Stop it. Mannish women up front. If you have man hands. What kind of car does Bernie Sanders drive? Pressing questions yesterday.
He doesn't. It's a bicycle.
No, he drives a little red Chevy. And he said it's the smallest Chevy that they make. So it's not a gas guzzling machine.
So he was doing his Linda Richmond impersonation during the debate last night. Wait, he drives a Chevy, so like a Chevy Volt, you mean, like an electric car?
No.
Well, what do you mean?
He doesn't drive an electric car. He drives a vehicle that uses gasoline. Now, don't tell anybody.
That's gasoline. That's fossil fuels. Oh, boy.
Is he too old to be president?
When I was a kid, I was a long-distance runner.
You would be 83 at the end of your second term.
But, thank goodness. Let's not be ageist here.
I'm not.
Oh, Anderson, stop giggling.
I know it's like somebody, he's like a Tickle Me Elmo. You're like,
yeah, he's cute.
Is he?
Bernie Sanders only will serve 1 year as president. Please see my previous answer. At 75, you have to exit stage left, says Zeke Emanuel. You're done at 75. That's how we control costs with these big government gambits. That's Zeke Emanuel saying it. I cede to his policy
greatness?
Expertise. I mean, look,
Well,
got to
it
make
was
the numbers work.
It was a little loosey-goosey last night. I'll give you that much. They asked him about Larry David and how, who's who. Are you Larry David? Is Larry David you?
I am Larry David. And you didn't get it.
Yeah.
My enthusiasm is curbed.
Yeah, okay. Hey, that's a good point. Hillary Clinton could not use the word progressive enough last night.
So I hope we keep it on the issues, because if it's about our records, hey, I'm going to win by a landslide. I am for a positive, progressive economic agenda. I think it was a good day for progressives when I helped to get 8 million kids health care.
Oh, she was just hammering it home. Remember last time she used Obama about 13 times. This time she said progressive about 60.
Well,
everything was progressive.
She's down, 25 points in New Hampshire. Don't see that really changing. And again, the conventional wisdom is after New Hampshire, the states, the composition of the electorate in the Democrat primary changes substantially. South Carolina, a sizable African-American vote in the Democrat primary, and this is where Hillary's cleaning up. This is where Hillary's up 50, 60 points on Bernie Sanders, that universe of voters, African-Americans. And so
then on to Nevada, where it's Latino-based.
Right.
And Bernie Sanders isn't going to get any votes in Nevada.
Well, I'm not so sure about that. I think things can change. I think this is still fluid. it's clear that Hillary is the odds-on favorite to be the nominee, short of being imprisoned, which probably is a better chance than Bernie Sanders. That probably has a better chance of happening than Bernie Sanders. But momentum is a funny thing. There was an endorsement yesterday. We started talking about endorsements on the Republican side. There's an endorsement in South Carolina for Bernie Sanders from a former state Democrat Party chairman who was a Biden guy previously.
Oh, really?
So, I mean, could he cut into the lead to probably not win South Carolina? He probably won't have enough time. But if Hillary continues to falter, if these clouds continue to circle overhead, and I presume they will, then could Bernie Sanders slowly start to get into the race in other states where the demographics are not so favorable to him as they are in Iowa and New Hampshire? I wouldn't put money on it. I think it's maybe a 1 in 5 shot, but it's not impossible. Remember how unpalatable Hillary is. She was in 2008. She is in 2016. She has a favorable rating among likely Democrat primary voters, but there are still trust issues even within that universe. Bernie Sanders isn't Barack Obama. This isn't making history.
No, he's an old white guy.
Yeah, but it is making.
That's not going to play well in Nevada.
It is making. What are you talking about? Have you ever been on the Strip? It's all nothing but old white guys wandering around. They're not socialists. That's the making history
visiting,
part.
yes.
And Bernie Sanders was on Morning Joe yesterday in advance of that forum, talking about the issues, at least his issues, like Hillary making too much money, $200,000 for speeches on poor college campuses.
Do you think it's wrong for her to go to places like UConn and also the University of Buffalo, a college she once represented, get paid $275,000 for a 45-minute
Joe, I got a real problem receiving, for an hour's work to earn $200,000 plus. I've got a real problem with that.
See, but the hypocrisy lies. He would take that money too, but nobody's asking him to give speeches and want to pay him that kind of money.
Well, actually, the problem, here's Bernie Sanders. I mean, that little exchange with Scarborough.
And he brought that up again last night, too.
Is great. It recalls Churchill's quote about Bernie's philosophy, that socialism is the philosophy of failure, the creed of ignorance, the gospel of envy, and its inherent virtue is the equal sharing of misery. That's what Bernie Sanders is offering. Not in those words, but that's the sum and substance of it. $200,000 in an hour, whatever the market will bear. Does he begrudge LeBron James making $200,000 in an hour for an hour's of work? Actually,
a lot of people.
Actually, he makes a lot more than that.
Yeah, and a lot of people make. Even Mike Huckabee demands for when he was giving speeches $75,000 to $100,000.
The point is, forget Republicans and Democrats and speeches. He said he has a problem with somebody making $200,000 for an hour of work. So
LeBron James makes that in 20 minutes.
What about entertainers?
Yeah.
What about athletes? See, it seems to me that the hypocrisy on the left in this area where they want to pretend that where they don't want to pretend, where they want to control what people can make, they want to control the floor and the ceiling, is that it's all based on who they like and who they don't like. But again, that's another feature of socialism is hypocrisy.
Real quick, my favorite line of the night, because Hillary's trying to cut into Sanders' massive advantage among young voters. She said this. Here's what I want young people to know. You ready? They don't have to be for me. I'm going to be for them. Huh? What do you think? It's her new campaign slogan.
Yeah. She's keep workshopping it. It started out with the champion of everyday people. She's still workshopping. My favorite line of the night was on the Republican side. It was a tweet from Jim Gilmore on the occasion of Rick Santorum suspending his campaign and Santorum endorsing Rubio, which is a bit interesting. But Jim Gilmore said, tweeted, former governor of Virginia, by the way, for people who don't know who Jim Gilmore is.
By the way, got 12 votes in Iowa. 12.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what did Gilmore say?
Groundswell.
Yeah.
Started out with 17. I was one of 17. Now I'm one of 9. # still standing. I'll tell you what, this is an underreported story, but it's all coming together for Jim Gilmore. Let's go to Tom in Schaumburg. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Let me see if I understand this. Hillary's running against an old white guy who looks a little like Homer Simpson's boss.
Mr. Burns.
And if you don't like that analogy, then he looks a little like the Penguin as played by Danny DeVito. And she almost can't beat him. And we should worry about her.
Thanks for the call, Tom. Mike on the north side. Hey, Mike.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Ghetto Rap Mama.
Hi, Mike.
Wow, nice.
It's blonde ghetto rap mama. Okay.
There you go. Hey, I just wanted to say you're wasting your time. It's already been preordained that Hillary will be the next president. If you read the book of Revelations, it says a popular Antichrist, Obama, will be followed by a cloven-hooved Satan.
Thanks for the call, Mike, and for
my new rap name.
Well, for the new rap name, but also for telling us how this is all playing out based on the word.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
President Obama visits a mosque. Ooh. No one played that audio yesterday. Did you notice that? But we're going to have it. We're going to have it here next. But first, here's your forecast today. Intervals of clouds and sunshine, a high of 32 degrees. And tomorrow, Friday, some sun. Then turning cloudy by the afternoon, but still mild for this time of year, a high of 32 degrees. Let's get the travel times. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy. Good morning. Good morning, Dan. A crash at Arlington Heights. We have a possibility that pedestrians involved here. Rand Road at Dryden, south of Palatine Road. Southwest side of Chicago, arson investigators are at the intersection of 63rd and Kildare. There were vehicle fires there, and that investigation is ongoing. About Eisenhower, a little slow, Manheim to First Avenue, 31 minutes, Thorndale to downtown. Stevenson, 35 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. The Ryan is now 21 minutes, 95th to downtown. Bishop Ford, get a 3-minute delay from 103rd to the Merge. I'm Jim Talamonte, the ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
Chicago Radio Deals wants you to take some time for yourself to relax, renew, recharge, and here's a perfect way to lower your stress level and bring balance to your life. Make a visit to the Primal Ocean Salt Cave in LaGrange. Your stress begins to disappear when you step into the pink Himalayan salt cave. Or you can float, on a bed of water that envelops you in color and warmth. Make time for deep relaxation in the aqua massage bed or feel renewed with the Ionic Detox Foot Bath. Experience it all now with packages that include one salt cave session plus either an aqua massage or aqua escape session for $65 to $70 normally, but it's ChicagoRadioDeals.com, $40. Primal Ocean Salt Cave Spa treatments are a great way to take a vacation from the everyday. Plus, you can stay fully clothed and dry the entire time. You'll love how calm and refreshed you'll feel. So if you haven't tried this yet, do it now. The Primal Ocean deals are very limited. For more healthy deals, just visit ChicagoRadioDeals.com.
Hi, Barry Sterner, founder of your #1 home mortgage lender, Townstone Financial. I continue to get calls and emails from homeowners whose interest rates are above 4%. Please do yourself a favor. Take 1 minute. Dial 312-896-2111 or go to townstone.com and let us give you some no closing cost refinance options today. No closing costs means no hidden costs. I guarantee it, and I own the company. Remember, you don't have to restart your mortgage at 30 years or 15. We can customize the payback period. Also, if your home is worth less than what you owe, we still have the Government HARP program, which will allow you to refinance and save money. And anyone who has an FHA mortgage or one with private mortgage insurance definitely needs to call me now so we can lower your monthly mortgage payments due to the recent increase in home values. The call is free and so is my time, so dial 312-896-2111. That's 312-896-2111 or go to townstone.com. That's TOWNSTONE.com. Townstone Financial is an Illinois mortgage licensee 6629 and MLS 136639, equal housing lender.
When elderly family require care, you insist on local medical professionals with specialized training in home service and nursing. Alliance Home Service is a leading family alternative to nursing home and institutional care. It's critical to ask the right questions when matching a caregiver to your loved one to maintain the most positive lifestyle for your entire family. Alliance Home Service is among a select group of Chicagoland companies providing in-home non-medical care such as hygiene, medication reminders, activities and companionship, and medical care. All caregivers have the highest level of training and expertise. You'll experience the cost efficiency of in-home care as well as the level of caring.
America's at war with Islam ignores the fact that
866-227-3459.
the world's religions are part of who we are. We can't be at war with any other religion because the world's religions are part of
family caring for your family.
So here's another
fact. 866-227-3459 or alliancecaregiver.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, so President Obama went to that mosque in Baltimore yesterday where he rediscovered that this country is founded on religious freedom. The irony of the venue is that that's a mosque. That's the source of some controversy in terms of whether the imams there believe in religious freedom. But we'll set that aside for a minute as we listen to President Obama lecture us, because that's fun.
So here's another fact. Islam has always been part of America. Starting in colonial times, many of the slaves brought here from Africa were Muslim. And even in their bondage, some kept their faith alive. A few even won their freedom and became known to many Americans. And when enshrining the freedom of religion in our Constitution and our Bill of Rights, our founders meant what they said when they said it applied to all religions. You know, back then Muslims were often called Mohammedans. And Thomas Jefferson explained that the Virginia statute for religious freedom he wrote was designed to protect all faiths. And I'm quoting Thomas Jefferson now, the Jew and the Gentile, the Christian and the Mohammedan.
Yeah.
So the word for the day is Mohammedan?
Yeah. So is this news? Is who is making the argument that Muslims do not have the same religious freedom rights that I do or you do or anybody else does? Who's making that argument? No one. It's the Obama straw man argument. Here's something else, too, since somebody gave President Obama a little snapshot in history so he can sound like he knows what the hell he's talking about. Thomas Jefferson. Yeah, we Muslims have been part of this country from colonial times forward. They've also been part of this country's conflicts. Since he invoked Thomas Jefferson, perhaps President Obama would want to regale the crowd with the Barbary Wars from 1801 to 1805, when Thomas Jefferson launched strikes on the north coast of Africa against Barbary Muslim pirates that were raiding U.S. ships, taking our sailors hostage, ransoming them off, and Jefferson wouldn't pay tribute. Instead, he went and behaved proactively against aggressors. Is that a lesson that President Obama has learned from Thomas Jefferson since he wanted to invoke our third president? I don't think so.
My Muslim faith.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Place your orders for promotional items now for the year. Get ready for the big trade show. Provide shirts or jackets for all of your employees, students, or church members. Or giveaway items like coffee mugs, pens, or hats. Whatever it is, you can trust an American to take care of it.
This is Sam Gilberto, president of American Embroidery and Screen Printing and American Marketing Products. We specialize in putting your logo on just about anything. Our focus is entirely on you, our customer. We want every customer experience to be outstanding.
Here's an offer to help your budgets for the new year. 10% off and free artwork on embroidery and screen printing orders for all new customers. 10% off and free artwork on embroidery and screen printing orders for all new customers.
We have the capability, capacity, and know-how to get your job done right and on time.
Call 630-766-2825. 630-766-2825. Get more at trustinamerican.com.
Running a business is tough these days. From a president who claimed it
You didn't build that. Somebody else made that happen.
to the mountains and mountains of taxes and regulations here in Illinois. But many companies, big and small, have persevered, serving their customers and communities. If that's you and your business, then AM 560 The Answer wants to celebrate your success and tell your story. It's the AM 560 Business Tour 2016, presented by Signature Bank. This spring, Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson will be broadcasting live from businesses in Illinois with success stories of overcoming the odds and thriving in spite of the challenging business environment. If your company fits this description, then we want to know about it so we can consider broadcasting from your location. Tell us your story. Visit 560theanswer.com/business and submit your information. That's 560theanswer.com/business.
Hey, do you know my friend Laz Coulchar from Automated Systems, who sponsored and spoke at Freedom Summit and wowed the crowd with his story of escaping communism, coming to the U.S. and building a successful software and systems integration company? Here's Laz Coulchar to explain.
Thanks, Joe. I built my company to deliver solutions for industry's toughest automation challenges by giving clients customized solutions to make production lines, facilities, and plants run with less downtime, more speed, and fewer rejects. Our systems provide reliability and deep insight into our clients' manufacturing operations for companies of all sizes, from Fortune 500 life science to successful startups.
Thanks, Laz. If you even suspect that Automated Systems could benefit your company, then call him. There's no obligation. Call Laz at Automated Systems at 844-HIRE-ASI or visit automatedsys.com. That's 844-HIRE-ASI.
Coming up, CPS completes a bond sale, but at what cost to taxpayers?
Yeah, loan shark rates. And then just because Chicago's attracting more corporate headquarters doesn't necessarily mean more jobs. We'll talk to a Manhattan Institute scholar at 6:16.
And later, wait until you hear who's running for mayor of Baltimore. But first, let's go back into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, CPD moves to fire an officer linked to the Kochman case. We'll have an update on that story for you. The governor signs an executive order designed to boost the state's economy. The widow of a former Fox Lake officer pleads not guilty in his case. Etwan Moore, a career night as the Bulls top the Kings. The clouds and sunshine in your forecast today with a high of 32. Complete look at weather after Fox News, WIND Chicago News Time, 6 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. 11th place doesn't cut it. And so Rick Santorum, after a bad finish in Iowa, joins Rand Paul quitting the presidential race, endorsing Marco Rubio on his way out.
He's a born leader and someone I just feel a lot of confidence in.
Donald Trump's getting into it with Ted Cruz again over Iowa less than a week before New Hampshire. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Trump is accusing Ted Cruz of stealing the Iowa caucus, pointing to rumors the Cruz campaign spread about Ben Carson dropping out of the race, which turned out not to be true.
I think they should probably throw him out of Iowa because I don't think what he did is a disgrace.
Cruz apologized to Carson for not passing up a follow-up story on him, but he blasted Trump, saying he's losing it and throwing a Trumper tantrum.
Donald Trump guaranteed a victory in Iowa, and then he lost, and he doesn't like that.
Poll averages show Trump with a 20-point lead in New Hampshire. Dave.
Now, Rachel, Bernie Sanders goes after Hillary Clinton.
I do not know any progressive who has a super PAC and takes $15 million from Wall Street.
Clinton was asked at a CNN Democratic Forum if she believes a right-wing conspiracy is still after her.
It's gotten even better funded. They brought in some new multi-billionaires to pump the money in. And look, these guys play for keeps.
Clinton and Sanders will debate one-on-one tonight. A glitch at the IRS as tax season starts.
Many of the agency's systems were unavailable Wednesday night, and all electronically filed tax returns were therefore not accepted. In a statement, the IRS said that it is currently in the process of making repairs and working to restore normal operations.
Fox Business Network Cheryl Casoni, a man who made the undercover videos with Planned Parenthood, will surrender in Texas and go to court today. David Daleiden and the other indicted activist Sandra Merritt turned herself in yesterday. The videos allege Planned Parenthood illegally sold fetal tissue to researchers for profit, but a grand jury concluded it committed no wrongdoing. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Cloudy and 24 degrees. 6:02 is our time on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A fraternity at the University of Chicago is accused of sending racist emails. An anonymous member of the Alpha Epsilon Pi passed along the emails to BuzzFeed. Now, that group of emails was sent to all members of the Jewish fraternity, included a host of derogatory and racist comments about Muslims and blacks, according to BuzzFeed. Chicago Police Department is taking action to fire one officer and discipline others in a case connected to former Mayor Richard Daley. These moves stem from a case in 2004 when prosecutors say the mayor's nephew, Richard Veneco, punched and killed David Kochman. Interim Superintendent John Escalante is moving to fire Lieutenant Dennis Walsh. Chicago Public Schools sold $725 million in tax-exempt bonds that it says will help the district get through the rest of this school year. The governor and others say his plan for bankruptcy for the Chicago Public Schools is winning statewide support. the second time in 2 days, Rauner saying the best way out of the financial mess is through a state takeover and bankruptcy. Meantime, the governor is sidestepping the legislature and creating a nonprofit organization to recruit businesses for the state. AM 560's David Stewart has details.
Governor Rauner and Democrats couldn't agree on a plan to privatize the state's existing business recruitment effort, so Rauner's forming his own group that will negotiate with companies on state incentives. Rauner says they'll do a better job from outside of government.
We want the best and the brightest, most creative deal structurers in the world to come here. They're not going to go through that baloney. Running our state government with the restrictions we've got around recruiting talent is almost impossible, and this is going to free us up from a lot of that.
Rauner brushed off questions about transparency in this board's operations. His executive order isn't clear about how public its dealings will be. David Stewart, Chicago.
The widow of a disgraced former Fox Lake police officer, Joseph Glenowitz, is free on bond. She pled not guilty yesterday in Lake County Court to charges of money laundering and misuse of charitable funds. Prosecutors say Melody Glenowitz was aware her husband stole over $10,000 from the Police Explorer program. Her lawyers say their client did not have a part in her former spouse's alleged crimes. Chicago sports. Bulls behind Etuan Moore beat Sacramento 107-102. Moore scored a career-high 24. Fighting Illini, a Big Ten win over Rutgers 110-101 in triple overtime. The news, a service of Autism Speaks and the Ad Council. As a parent, you can't help but look at your child and dream about what the future holds. But while you're dreaming, consider this. The odds that your child may be diagnosed with autism are 1 in 68. Catching it early can make a world of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Congratulations, Susan. Your daughter is such a gorgeous bride, and this setting is just amazing.
Thanks, Jane. Only the best for my daughter's wedding.
I've never been to an outdoor wedding with such an elegant tent. The lantern lighting is so romantic, and I can see all the stars through the clear top.
We couldn't have done it without the professionals at Blue Peak Tent and Event Rentals. They worked closely with us to create the ambiance we wanted, making sure no detail was overlooked.
Do you think they could help plan a tent for our company picnic this summer? We have about 500 people.
Absolutely. Blue Peak Tents has a variety of climate control tents that can fit nearly any space and accommodate any guest count. They've done thousands of tents across Chicagoland for corporate outings, weddings, graduations, festivals, and more. I wouldn't wait. They're already booking for spring and summer seasons. You should call now, 630-338-0288.
Make your next outdoor party memorable with Blue Peak Tents. 630-338-0288 or visit bluepeaktents.com.
At GoDaddy, a domain name is the beginning of something awesome. Use it to create a website to promote your business. Open an online store to sell your products. Start a blog. Build your brand. You can even connect your domain to your LinkedIn or Facebook page. And GoDaddy customer support is always ready to help. What will you do with your domain name? Get a .com domain name for only $2.99 for the first year. Right now at GoDaddy.com. 2-year purchase required. Second year is $14.99.
Meet Lawrence. He's making serious money on his own schedule driving with Uber.
With Uber, you can write your own paycheck. I was making more money driving part-time with Uber than I was making on my full-time job. You sign up, you get approved, and you start earning money right away. Right away, like the next day. It's just that simple. Turn it on when you want to make money, you turn it off when you don't. What are you waiting for?
Thanks, Lawrence. To start making great money with your car, sign up to drive today at drivewithuber.com. That's drivewithuber.com.
6:06 in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center. The latest with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. On the southwest side of Chicago, there's potential crime scene. 63rd and Kildare, that's east of Midway. Arson is suspected in several vehicle fires, and fire department investigators are at the scene. Arlington Heights, there's a collision on Rand Road at Dryden, south of Palatine Road. Reports of a person being struck by a car. Edens is fine right now. No delays to report yet on the Kennedy. Inbound Eisenhower, slow Manheim to First Avenue. 33 minutes, Thorndale to downtown. Outbound near North Avenue, there's a report of a car in the ditch. Inbound Stevenson, a little heavy Pulaski to Kedzie. Not bad yet. Ryan, 21 minutes, 95th to downtown. Traffic is a service of the Foundation for a Better Life. Mr. Rogers passed along friendship, hoping we would too. Friendship, pass it on. From the Foundation for a Better Life at values.com. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Aircomfort.com, 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Here is meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Clouds and sun today with a high 32. Patchy clouds at night, low 23. Turning cloudy tomorrow with a high 33 and remaining mostly cloudy through the night with a low 25. Sun and clouds for Saturday with a high of 39. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
24 at O'Hare. Next news, 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Dermatology and Plastic Surgery Associates, reminding you to wear sunscreen. Visit dpsamed.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So, CPS has bought a little bit of time, but at an exorbitant price. Chicago Public Schools went out to market yesterday. They wanted to sell $875 million in bonds. They sold $725 million. And the interest rate, the yield on that?
Okay, what is the interest rate? Because I know you're really good with the numbers, and you're going to tell me, because you're going to give us the answer.
They started out, they wanted to offer 7.75%.
Oh.
That's
pretty high.
Yeah.
That's pretty high.
They had to go up from there, 8.5%. 8.5%. Marilyn Cohen writing in Forbes, the 28-year tax-free CPS municipal bonds were going to be offered at 7.75%. Remember, it actually went to 8.5%. This is a whopping 5% percentage points, more than a comparable investment-grade muni. Jeez. The more one reads, the more the Chicago system mirrors Puerto Rico. That's not a compliment.
No. So we're borrowing money to pay our bills to get us through the end of the year.
No.
Well, that's the way they played it with the parents, and that's the email that I got.
Year?
Well, they borrowed the bond sales, but plus the $100 million in cuts that were announced Tuesday.
No.
Are they lying to me, Dad?
The bonds will largely reimburse the operating fund for expenses the district has already paid, including capital expenses. The bonds include $206 million of debt restructuring to provide immediate budgetary relief for this fiscal year, and also so they can make a bond payment in the middle of this month. This just buys them a little bit of time because, I mean, again, without this borrowing, they were not going to be able to make payroll after February 12th. This is a $5.5 billion operation they're running into the ground. This is not going. This buys just a small window of time to do something.
So it's not going to get us through the end of the year.
No, I don't think so. No. No, the $100 million that
Forrest.
That run Forrest, run. Yeah, run for the hills, Forrest.
Biden.
Yes.
He was a little shaky.
Okay, Pookie. That is not going to cut it. Larry Massal, over at the Civic Federation, said of the 8.5% interest rate, highest we've seen in many years. It's particularly surprising because it comes in a low interest rate environment. Well, not if you're junk rated and on the precipice of bankruptcy, or you're functionally bankrupt. You just don't want to declare it for political reasons, and everybody knows it. Massal said it's a panoply of bad news that just keeps coming for Chicago Public Schools and their financial situation. It's a horrible warning sign to CPS, the city, the Park District, and other non-investment grade units of government as to what the cost will be for the future borrowings. By the way, this is also going to be backed by, according to documents CPS put out, $200 million property tax increase, in addition to the, north of $500 million, which is really about a $2 billion property tax increase. ROM and the 50 train seals and the city council just passed a little bit ago as part of this fiscal year budget. Another $200 million at minimum to assuage bondholders' fears that they're going to get paid, even with the 8.5% yield.
And it doesn't stop there. Leslie Munger did a wonderful job laying this all out for the taxpayers of Illinois.
If we solve this problem on revenue alone, We will be looking at raising our tax rate in Illinois from 3.75% up to somewhere between 7 and 8%. It'll have to double what we are now to get out of the debt we have. I don't know any legislator who would vote for that, and I don't know many businesses that would stay in Illinois for that. Right. Today, do we pay foster care, or do we send the education payment, or do we pay for the developmentally disabled? Because we can't pay it all in the same day.
That is where she's talking
She's
about
so reasonable.
the $6 billion, north of $6 billion in unpaid bills that the state currently has, that was inherited, by the way, inherited from the previous regimes, plural. And Munger's saying, essentially, if you just take the Democrat leaders, Madigan and Cullerton, if you just take their position, okay, fine, but understand what you're going to need to charge Illinois families in order to do just a revenue solution to our unpaid bills. 3.75% state income tax to 7.5%. And that, that assumes all kinds of things in terms of people staying here versus migrating out and shrinking the tax base even further. So just to give you a little bit of snapshot of what we're talking about and why many of the structural reforms, and frankly, many more, many of the structural reforms Bruce Rauner has promulgated and many more that he hasn't, are required to fundamentally right the ship of state in Illinois going forward. And Cullerton and Madigan, particularly Madigan, have shown zero interest in this conversation. Rauner put a fine point on it following on Comptroller Munger.
We've got well over $6 billion in unpaid bills, and we've only got about $250 million of cash. We are in a cash crunch, and we can't just keep. And right now, the General Assembly keeps passing more spending bills. There's no way I could sign that bill. I want to fund MAP grants, but I want to have the money to pay for it. The president's not doing that. He's misleading the students. He's misleading the voters around the state.
And he's misleading the parents.
And look, it is the situation is so bad in Illinois. Bruce Rauner can't even afford to use G's on the end of words anymore. He has to say spendin' instead of spending. He can't afford the G.
It happens.
Yeah.
You hang out in certain parts of the state, okay?
By the way, Chicago-based Heartland Alliance issued a report yesterday outlining Illinois poverty, and finds that significant racial disparities for income, unemployment, birth rates, and housing, among other things, significant racial disparities across these lines. So the unemployment rates are 1.4 to 2.4 times higher for minorities than for whites, for example. And poverty rates are up to 3 times higher for racial minorities than whites in Illinois. This is Illinois. This is Chicago, that has been controlled by machine Democrats for 100 years. This is Illinois, which has been controlled by Democrat governors and General Assembly for a decade plus, up until Rauner's election in 2014. And functionally, as we know, Madigan is the most powerful politician in the state and has been for a long time, for generations. So I say again to those knee-jerk Democrat institutional power voters, how is it working out for you? How is it going in Illinois, continuing to vote for versions of the same people doing versions of the same thing?
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You've switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Today we're going to have some clouds, some sunshine by this afternoon, a high of 32 degrees. And tomorrow, some sun, then turning cloudy, a high of 32. Let's get the travel times. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy and Dan. On the southwest side of Chicago at 63rd and Kildare, several vehicle fires have been extinguished. Arson investigators are at the scene. The expressways, the Edens inbound is just a tad heavy approaching the junction. Kennedy has some heavy pockets, but no significant slowdowns yet. Inbound Eisenhower, traffic is slow between Manheim and Harlem. You get 35 minutes, Thornhill to downtown. Outbound past North Avenue, there's a car in the ditch. Police are on the right shoulder. Inbound Stevenson, just a 2 or 3 minute delay from Cicero to Kedzie. The Ryan runs 21 minutes, 95 to downtown. I-57, 18 minutes, I-80 to the merge. Bishop Ford, 22. I'm Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com, Traffic Center.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to drill down and talk about the big ideas behind the big issues. That's where Upstream Ideas comes in. Upstream Ideas, online at upstream-ideas.com, in partnership with the Illinois Policy Institute, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted orthodoxies. In other words, Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now to upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to spur you on to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit more free, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com. Being trained for a medical emergency in your workplace can save a life. Shh.
Analyzing. Shock advised. Stay clear of patient. Press the flashing orange button now.
Thanks to technology and training from Lifesavers Health and Safety Training, tragedy can be avoided.
Shock delivered.
She's breathing.
Thanks to this well-trained employee, a life was saved. A well-trained workplace safety team can be the difference between life and death. In as little as 4 minutes, brain damage begins. It takes an average of 7 to 10 minutes for an emergency response team to arrive. Lifesavers Health and Safety Training prepares your team with American Red Cross certified CPR, first aid, and defibrillator classes. At your facility, you'll gain the skills and confidence necessary to respond to life-threatening situations. Call Lifesavers Health and Safety Training at 847-571-7981 or visit lifesavers-training.com. 847-571-7981. Winter weather is here, and this season's roller coaster ride and temperatures can be especially taxing on your business's mechanical HVAC system. That's why it's important to schedule a comprehensive review of your system today with Air Comfort, Chicagoland's leading mechanical professionals. For more than 80 years, Air Comfort has maintained hundreds of businesses' HVAC systems throughout Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana. Why do they trust their mechanical systems to Air Comfort? It's simple. Because they understand that Air Comfort has the best trained and highly skilled team of award-winning technicians. That's why Air Comfort is recognized as an MSCA Star Contractor, a designation achieved by only 2% of contractors nationwide. With a large service fleet of more than 80 fully equipped vehicles, chances are that an Air Comfort technician is nearby. Schedule your system check by calling now, 708-345-1900, or online at aircomfort.com.
Hey, before you read about it on Facebook or Twitter, well, hear about it from your friends. Find out what today's big stories really mean with me, Sean Hannity, today at 2, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy talking about Chicago Public Schools, the usurious yield they had to guarantee with the $725 million they borrowed in the bond market yesterday, 8.5%.
8.5% interest rate?
Yeah, right.
Who's the loan shark?
Right, exactly. Yeah, Shylock
With
from
deals
Merchant
like
of Venice.
that, yeah.
Text from 773, the rate was so high, Detroit was able to buy CPS bonds.
That's good.
Nicely done. Let's go to Tom in Oswego. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I've listened to this problem for quite a while, and I like it to alcoholics, the system, the leaders, and I speak from experience, unfortunately. I don't think they're going to solve the problem until it crashes. So some adult steps up and finally admits that they have a problem and that they actually want to change it. But then I think the problem is that these leaders, and mostly Democratic leaders, understand that no matter what happens, they won't take the blame for it, and they'll just blame somebody else that it's always not enough money.
Yeah.
So they don't care. There's no consequence for them.
Thanks for the call, Tom. I agree with that. The issue of consequences, that's the only thing that will chasten the political ruling class is political consequences, personal political consequences. Now, the question of until it crashes.
I think it's crashed.
Well, that's kind of the question.
That's a feel I got from speaking to certain principals yesterday. It's crashed. It is broken.
What does crashing look like if not this? I mean, it's a frightening thought. Now,
and there's some teachers, just so you know, Dan, there's some teachers who do want to declare bankruptcy. They do want the state to take over CPS.
Yeah, we're going to talk about teachers after a while. I got a nasty note from a CPS teacher about other conversation we've been having this week about CPS. I hope her students listen better in class than she did to us, but we'll get to that. One of the good news, feel-good stories of the recent past in Chicago has been we're continuing to attract corporate headquarters. You know, the ROM, they celebrated most recently ConAgra.
Yeah,
that's
ConAgra
a good example.
was a big one. Google, isn't Google here?
Well, not headquarters, but space, presence. ADM, when they moved their corporate headquarters and some 70 white-collar execs up here from Decatur. So this is good news. It's a sign of a vibrant Chicago. Or is it? To answer that question for us, we're now joined by Aaron Wren, who's a senior fellow at the Manhattan Institute, who's looked at this issue specifically, the issue of winning and losing battles for corporate headquarters, major urban centers versus outlying suburban areas, corridors like, the I-88 corridor where there's a lot of corporate campuses here. And the question of what kind of economic impact and job impact does that really have? Aaron Wren, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
So how should we understand the kind of celebratory nature of getting a ConAgra to locate their corporate headquarters in Chicago, and what real impact does that have in terms of job opportunities, in terms of regional GDP, or is it just mainly an opportunity for politicians to celebrate themselves?
Anytime a major Fortune 500 type company relocates to your town, no matter how many jobs they're bringing, that's a good thing. So it's very good news that especially out-of-town corporations are establishing operations in Chicago, despite a lot of the negative headlines that are out there. And it goes to show that the Chicago Loop is still a premier place to do business in America.
But how many jobs did they actually take out of Omaha, Nebraska and move to Chicago?
The reports I hear suggest ConAgra is bringing about 700 jobs. That's actually one of the bigger ones. Mm-hmm. These headquarters today, one thing that's bringing these headquarters back to the city is they've sort of restructured for the global economy. And today it tends to be more what I call a smaller executive headquarters. It's not as much the old 4,000 or 5,000 person HQ of old. There are still some of those out there. But if you think of those that have moved to downtown Chicago, like United Airlines, those are companies that were already in the region. The ones that are coming from out of town are bringing smaller amounts of jobs, but those are the highest end jobs. They're often bringing things like a bit of a corporate foundation, so there's some philanthropy impact. And those people are in part in Chicago so that they can hire hotshot lawyers, consultants, et cetera, to help them manage big global enterprises. So there is an impact. It's not as big as, a 10,000 person operation like Exxon is building in suburban Houston, for example, but it's still something and it's real, and I would celebrate it to some level. I think it should be.
Oh, okay, but I mean, I guess what is the proportionality issue? Because as you suggest, ADM moves to Chicago and they move a few dozen executives here, but the workers in logistics and corn processing and farmer services and nutrition are still in Decatur, and even beyond kind of the Chicago versus outlying areas in Illinois. Chicago and Illinois competing against not just our neighboring states in the Midwest, but also globally. It seems to me that it's a little bit of a Potemkin village. Yes, of course, it's a positive thing. Yes, of course, it's going to have some positive impact. But when you're talking about the structural problems, for example, in Chicago and Illinois, this is not the way home. This is a very small part of a very complicated jigsaw puzzle. Is that fair?
Right. It's like these halo cars that automakers create, these super high-end, exclusive. They're there to build the brand, in a sense. And these build your brand as a city. Of course, it's not going to solve the financial problems. It's not going to solve CPS's problems. 8.75%. Are you kidding me? It's not going to solve the debt. It's not going to solve the shootings. But they do add a little bit to the economy, and certainly they add up in the rankings of how many Fortune 500 companies you have. I don't want to oversell it. On the other hand, I don't want to make it out to be nothing either. And it's not happening everywhere. It's only happening in a few cities: Chicago, New York, Boston, San Francisco, places like that.
Right.
So,
And
good news. Let's not oversell it, though. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, and I don't want to pour mouth it. I mean, I love Chicago. I want Chicago to be successful. It is a world-class city. It's a great city, but it's got all these intractable problems. And when you have a ConAgra or even ADM relocate to Chicago to some degree, it gives, I think, people the impression that kind of we're on the way back, and really it is not even a baby step on the journey that we have to take to truly get back. And so it just that kind of, as I said, contextual perspective, so we understand what the benefit is versus what the benefits are that we need to put Chicago where we would like it to be.
Yeah, I would say that although the Chicago Loop as a whole has done pretty well, that's a pretty small part of the overall regional and state economy in a lot of ways. And you can't just say, well, there's a lot of people moving to Lincoln Park or Lakeview, and there's a lot of businesses moving to the Chicago Loop, and say, see, that proves everything is okay, and it doesn't matter. Because the whole other, 10.5 million people in the state of Illinois are suffering, and it doesn't even really address any of those problems at all. So just because there's a few bright spots doesn't mean you should call a press conference and sort of suggest that everything's going great, because Illinois and Chicago got big problems.
All right, he is Aaron Renz, Senior Fellow at the Manhattan Institute. Aaron, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
On November 2nd, Obama signed into law a controversial budget bill. Now, this massive legislation eliminates two of the most popular Social Security claiming strategies. Here's Social Security advisor Mike Gibbons with a Social Security update.
Effective May 1st, the change to the restricted application claim will be draconian. This powerful strategy allows workers who reach full retirement age to file a restricted application for spousal benefits while deferring your benefit for a bigger payout later. The new rule still allows for deferred personal benefits, but not the collection of spousal benefits in the meantime. This window closes to those turning 62 after January 1st, 2016. This new law is a game changer, and the clock is ticking.
Thanks, Mike. Visit ssupdate.com to receive your free personal Social Security analysis. Learn how these changes affect you. That's ssupdate.com for your free Social Security analysis, or call Gibbons Financial Group at 773-218-4773.
Securities offered through LPL Financial. Member FINRA SIPC.
Gentlemen, Dan Proft here. Do you know your numbers? You may know your blood pressure and cholesterol number, but do you know your testosterone? I do. Low T Center makes it easy. You walk in, take a simple blood test, and know your results within minutes. If you're a man over 40 and have noticed a decline in energy, stamina, or libido, you may have low testosterone. Low T makes you feel tired and grumpy. It can raise your cholesterol and cause weight gain. Low T Center's experienced medical staff will educate you on the benefits and risks of testosterone replacement. At Low T Center, it takes just minutes for results, and services are covered by most health insurance. And they now offer convenient and flexible hours. So do yourself a favor and get your levels checked at Low T Center. Call today, 630-409-4305. That's 630-409-4305. Or visit lowtcenter.com and tell them Dan Proft sent you.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, Congressman Peter Roskam will be here, and wait until you hear who wants to be the next mayor of Baltimore. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, 24 degrees. Governor Rick Scott in Florida ordering his Surgeon General there to declare a public health emergency in the 4 Florida counties where people have been diagnosed with the Zika virus. Presidential candidate Bernie Sanders is now predicting a close finish with frontrunner Hillary Clinton in next week's New Hampshire primary.
And everybody should know this, what media often wants you to do, and you're asked this question, I'm sure it's the same with Secretary Clinton, beat her up. Tell me something terrible about her. Attack her, because that will make the news. I have tried my best not to do that.
Sanders is heavily favored to defeat Clinton there. He was speaking at a CNN town hall event. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump continues his attacks on rival Ted Cruz, accusing the Cruz campaign of fraud in Iowa.
This political stuff is dangerous, and these political people are really, really dishonest. really dishonest.
The Cruz campaign sending out mailers, according to Trump, saying GOP candidate Ben Carson was dropping out of the race. The field of Republican presidential candidates does continue to dwindle, with former Pennsylvania Senator Rick Santorum ending his run.
Final thing, someone who has a real understanding of the threat of ISIS, real understanding of the threat of fundamentalist Islam, and has experience. I mean, one of the things I wanted is someone who had some experience in this area, and that's why we decided to support Marco Rubio.
Santorum throwing his weight behind the Rubio campaign. Kentucky Senator Rand Paul also announcing he was ending his campaign yesterday. A sexual assault case against Bill Cosby can go to trial, Pennsylvania judge ruling yesterday. A prominent Black Lives Matter activist says he'll run for mayor of Baltimore. DeRay McKesson made the announcement yesterday. Chicago police taking action to fire one officer and discipline two others in a case connected to Mayor Richard Daley. It's the Richard Vaneco case. The governor of Illinois says his CPS plan has support around the state. For the second time in 2 days, the governor saying the best way out of the financial mess with the Chicago public schools is a state takeover and bankruptcy. And a Downers Grove man accused of shaking his infant daughter is behind bars on $1 million bail. Timothy Churchill is charged with aggravated battery to a child younger than 13. And we all know the Miracle on Ice team of 1980, Lake Placid, New York. You've seen the movie, you maybe even watched the game against Russia. Well, a guy who performed the first Miracle on Ice died overnight. Jack Riley, former Army hockey coach who won and guided the U.S. team to its first Olympic gold medal in 1960, has died. He was 95. U.S. Military Academy announcing that Riley died in Massachusetts, no cause of death. He was one of the most successful college hockey coaches yesterday. And if you want more on this, you can watch one of the best documentaries on the Olympics ever done called The Forgotten Miracle. Jack Riley dead at the age of 95. Chicago sports. Bulls beat Sacramento 107-102. Etuan Moore scored a career-high 24. Big Ten hoops. Fighting Illini win over Rutgers 110-101 in triple overtime. The news service of the Boys and Girls Clubs of America. When school's out, clubs are in. It's time to support Boys and Girls Clubs. Visit greatfutures.org. Check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Sean Hannity sees a new day in America.
This is an election year unlike no other election that I have ever seen.
This is not your father's Republican Party anymore.
Where it seems fairly evident at this time that there is going to be an insurgent nominee for the Republican Party. Now, I wouldn't even be surprised if there's an insurgent Democratic nominee.
The Sean Hannity Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
With beaches, theme parks, nightlife, and more, head to Florida for your best winter ever. Plan your vacation at visitflorida.com.
Here's Dr. Howard, formulator of Balance of Nature, an all-natural, 100% organic fruit and vegetable supplement.
Did you know 40% of all cancer could be prevented? That's a fact. Along with maintaining appropriate body weight and regular exercise, the American Institute for Cancer Research and the USDA confirm that eating 9 to 11 servings of fruits and vegetables every day is the key. Now ask yourself, am I at risk? How many servings of fruits and vegetables did I eat today? Balance of Nature has solved this problem and provides an easy and affordable way to consume over 10 servings of 31 different whole fruits and vegetables every day.
Get real today with Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. Call toll-free 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com and be sure to enter promo code CHICAGO.
6:36 in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center. The very latest with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. On the Edens Expressway, inbound traffic is slow. Foster to the junction, 21 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, southbound 19. Kennedy is 24 minutes. O'Hare to downtown and outbound 24. Delays Fullerton to Kimball and Foster to Sayre. About Eisenhower, 38 minutes. Thorndale to the Loop, outbound 34. There's a crash past North Avenue blocking the right shoulder. Mount Stevenson, 40 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. The Rhine is 21 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 19 minutes. I-80 to the merge, Bishop 422. Traffic is a service of Jewel Osco. Score big game savings at Jewel's 3-day sale. Get 10 pub burgers for just $10. Select varieties of Hormel chili with beans are just 99 cents. Limit 4. Top it off with Lucerne chunk or shredded cheese at 2 for $3. Limit 4. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. 80 years. Quality mechanical solutions for your business. Clouds and sun, 32 today. 24 at O'Hare, 27 along the lakefront. Next news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Financial Planning with Jack Taboda, your 401k rollover specialist. Heard Saturday mornings at 7 on AM 560, The Answer.
If you're talking about it, I'll be talking about it. Dennis Prager here. Join me this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So, Amy.
Yes, Dan.
Paul Ryan. He is He's the Speaker of the House, you know.
Oh, yeah.
He's sporting a beard, much like mine, although I think I probably carry it off a little bit better than he does.
Well, what's going on with the new facial hair?
I've just given up.
You've given up on life?
I've given up on life. I quit.
You're done?
Yeah.
And why is Paul Ryan growing a beard?
I don't know. He has that youthful appearance that I don't, so maybe it should make him look a little bit more statesman-like, a little bit older. I mean, he's a couple years older than me.
I've noticed,
but he's still a young man.
If I may, you have a little more gray hair in your beard than he has.
Yeah, but those pictures are airbrushed that you see.
Oh,
online.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Paul Ryan met with members of the Freedom Caucus yesterday.
Oh.
To try and persuade them to vote for 2017 budget plan he's got cooking, and it was treated by this response from Congressman Mo Brooks, Republican from Alabama. There's not a snowball's chance in hell I'll vote for that. So how will this play out? Why don't we ask somebody on the inside?
We've got an insider on the line.
He is Congressman Peter Roskam, who hails from the lovely bedroom community of Wheaton, Illinois, and he joins us now. Peter, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, good to be with you guys.
So what about that? The Freedom Caucus telling Paul Ryan, hell no, we won't go along with that 2017 budget plan.
Yeah, so this is going to be a big lift, I think, all the way around. So here's sort of the state of play. The Republican Study Committee, the conservative enclave within the House, the big group actually, will put forth an alternative budget. I'll likely vote for that budget. The question then is, what should the Budget Committee write a budget to? And without getting too weedsy on any of this, there's a bunch of members who said, look, we didn't blow the budget caps. So in the decision made last fall to literally blow the budget caps, I voted no. A bunch of members voted no. And so now they're being asked to vote on an aspirational document. Remember, this is a pathway. This is a communication to the public of what we believe. And so there's tension right now. There's people on the Budget Committee who are thinking, well, listen, write the budget to the current law and so forth. And a bunch of people are saying, no, don't write it to the current law, write it to the law that we want it to be. And so it'll navigate itself out. But here's where this becomes important. At some point, you got to pass a budget. And the reason you've got to pass a budget, it is the key to getting like what we did on the reconciliation bill, getting Obamacare repeal, Planned Parenthood defunding on the president's desk, because the reconciliation of the budget does not require 60 votes. So there's going to be a lot of consternation, a lot of anxiety, but when push comes to shove, it is very important that we pass a conservative budget so that we can get a reconciliation bill on the desk of the next president, who hopefully signs it.
In October, you said this of that budget deal, the 2-year budget deal that was voted on in October. You said this: just in time for Halloween, this legislation is more trick than treat, with phantom savings and a truly terrifying $85 billion in new spending in the first 3 years. It was put together behind closed doors and once again puts today's problems off until tomorrow. It sounds like the 2017 budget, as initially conceived by Paul Ryan, is in that same vein. So do we have a leadership problem from the Speaker's office in coalescing the caucus behind something on the order of what you're describing and what the Freedom Caucus wants?
So this is arguably the new Speaker's first big challenge. A lot of things that he's been dealing with from a legislative point of view were dealt with by his predecessor, John Boehner. And so all the deadlines went away with Boehner making different deals with the other side. And now this is the first big challenge, I would argue, for Ryan as Speaker. And it's particularly true because he's the former chairman of the Budget Committee. We now see the power of reconciliation. Getting that reconciliation bill on the president's desk shows that there's only one office that's between us and the repeal of Obamacare and the defunding of Planned Parenthood, but that all presupposes that you get a budget that you can reconcile. So I guess to put the best possible light on it, it's good that he's getting feedback. It's good that he's actively out asking people what they think of apparently the way he's currently thinking. But my hunch is, in order to get this thing done, it's going to have to be moved in a much more conservative direction than it's currently tilted.
But where could Ryan meet in the middle with Freedom Caucus members? I mean, he floated the idea about future entitlement savings to make up for ballooning future debts, but many caucus members want those cuts now before, they agree to future changes.
Yeah, and this all has to do, to your point, Amy, this is all in what's known as, quote, the 10-year budget window. Again, kind of budgety talk, but the bottom line is, people want to see, hey, savings within sight, not savings, at some distant misty point in the future. And so that's where I think the Budget Committee is going to be under a lot of pressure to move this in the most conservative direction and put something together. Because, look, there's not a Democrat that's going to vote for any of our budgets. Nothing. They're going to give us no help. And as a result, the Speaker's got to figure out a way to put 218 votes together. And this will be coming up. I mean, it's not in the distant future. This needs to be happening within the next 30 days or so to meet these deadlines.
President Obama has been invited by Tiny Dancer and the boys back to Springfield to address the assembled noblemen and magistrates down there next week.
Yeah, next Wednesday.
Trying to bring people together to help get the state's fiscal house in order because he did such a bang-up job when he was a state senator along those lines. Have you received any correspondence from the mayor or legislative leaders to come back to a chamber you served in and offer some remarks as well?
Maybe that letter, maybe that invite's in the mail. Look, I think it is just amazing. I mean, the irony of Barack Obama going back to a state that is just a complete disaster in terms of its fiscal situation, and the irony of him going down there to draw attention to it. This is a person who has now submitted 8 budgets, none of which balance, none of which the last few give up even the pretense of balance. They now redefine the balanced budget in the administration as never reaching, actual balance, but to maintain, quote, long-term fiscal sustainability. So this is, the irony is just unbelievable. The chutzpah of going down and drawing attention to his home state at the very place where it's really unraveling. That is with, Mike Madigan and John Cullerton in the middle of this thing and unwilling to negotiate with the governor on any reasonable compromise moving forward. It's just amazing.
I love it when Peter Roskam uses Yiddish terms.
It's good. Yes. He has some chutzpah. But don't you think, President Obama, what's he going to say? Is he going to bash Republican Governor Rauner? I mean, seems that that's going to be, par for the course for next Wednesday.
Look, I wouldn't be at all surprised. This is the President of the United States who, bashed the then Speaker of the House when he was in, came out and publicly criticized Ryan and House Republicans at a speech in Georgetown with Ryan in the front row. He publicly criticized at the State of the Union message the members of the Supreme Court, completely getting their jurisprudence wrong but he publicly criticized them. And, so much so that I think a few justices said, hey, I'm never coming back to the show as long as this man's president. So it's entirely possible that he goes down there and continues to dish out the blame game. And it goes something like this. It was great when I was here, and now it's a disaster.
Yeah,
and I think, I know, but I think that's his MO, and I wouldn't at all be surprised to see if that's what he does.
Before we let you go, I want to raise this issue of Sergeant Charles Martland. This is an issue that your colleague Duncan Hunter has been working on. Martland, one of two Green Berets serving in the Army back in 2011, who stopped a corrupt Afghani commander when they were deployed to Afghanistan from continuing to rape a young boy. And they were disciplined for doing so. And now Martland, we talked to Captain Quinn, his colleague, yesterday, who was honorably discharged. But Martland wants to continue serving the Army, and he is facing ejection from the Army. Duncan Hunter has taken up his case. His final appeal is March 1st, according to what Captain Quinn told us. And I wonder what at the congressional level, in addition to what Duncan Hunter is doing, can and should be done to preserve the pristine record, as I understand it, and frankly, the courageous leadership that Sergeant Martland exhibited while serving in Afghanistan.
So this is a pattern that is starting to develop, and it's well underway with a number of our allies, and it is now creeping into the U.S. services. So I'll talk to Duncan Hunter about this to find out what else needs to be done, but let me put it in a larger context too, Dan. There's 1,500 British soldiers today who are in some sort of legal proceedings based on their activity when they were in Afghanistan and so forth. 1,500. Now you think about the chilling effect on that. And these are not people, these are false claims by and large. These are manipulations. This is where ISIS, the terrorist state, the Islamic State, are using legal process now against our warfighters. And it creates a chilling effect, it creates an adverse effect, and it's demoralizing when it comes down to it. So I'll learn more about this based on my discussion with Representative Hunter today. But this is a larger movement. It's a legal warfare movement where our enemies are exploiting our legal process against us.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing for terrorists to call us infidels. It's another thing for the U.S. Army to treat soldiers like infidels, which seems to be going on here. Congressman Peter Roskam, thank you so much for joining us. Always appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Forecast for today, intervals of clouds and some sunshine, so that's good. A high of 32 degrees. And tomorrow, a repeat of today, some sun, then turning cloudy. Highs again near the freezing mark, 32 degrees. Let's see if there's any markers out on the roadway, any trouble spots. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Amy, there is one in Elk Grove Village, southbound Arlington Heights Road at Higgins. There's a crash. The right lane is blocked. There's some water on the roadway, so that could get slippery. Eden's inbound heavy at Foster. 21 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 19. Kennedy, 28 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 26. Eisenhower's now 45 minutes, Thorndale to the Loop, outbound 36. Stevenson, 42 minutes, make it 46 minutes now, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. It's 34 from the Tri-State. Ryan, 21 minutes, 95th to downtown, northbound Tri-State slow, from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. I'm Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com, Traffic Center.
I'm Lou Dobbs. A number of economic reports are out today, and former pharmaceutical CEO Martin Shkreli appears before a House committee. Those stories next.
I remember the day when one of my best friends called and told me that his father had died. We cried together. This devastated his family, but even more devastating, they invested his death benefit in the stock market, and in the crash of 2008, they lost over $1 million. All of their hopes hopes and dreams were shattered yet again. My name is Brent Tixon. After that market crash devastated my friend's family, I determined that would not happen to anyone else that I knew. After years of research, I did find a better way. So today, I'm giving you a free copy of my best-selling book, Secure Your Retirement Dreams with Safe Money. I reveal where the wealthy grow their money safely, get good rates of return, and get tax-free cash loans for retirement. All of this where you don't lose money in the market. If you're concerned about losing your hard-earned wealth in the next stock market crash, then call 1-800-391-0404 right now to get your free copy of Safe Money. The next 47 callers get free shipping and handling. No credit card required. Call 1-800-391-0404.
There are a number of economic reports out today. They include reports on productivity and labor costs, factory orders, and ahead of Friday's jobs report, the weekly jobless claims data. Former Turing Pharmaceutical CEO Martin Shkreli is scheduled to appear today before a House hearing on the prescription drug industry. Shkreli was recently indicted and arrested for securities fraud. His lawyer says he will invoke his right against self-incrimination. Media mogul Sumner Redstone resigning as the chairman of CBS. He's been replaced by CBS CEO Leslie Moonves. After a dramatic rebound yesterday, Wall Street analysts watching oil prices that have caused some wild market swings in recent weeks and months. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight at 7 and 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
You've heard us talking about it for weeks, about our Escape to Cabo trip with Dan and Amy. It's April 2nd through the 9th. That's Saturday to Saturday. And it's presented by Dermatology and Plastic Surgery Associates and by Artistic Dentistry. The exclusive Apple Vacations price has expired, but there is still limited availability. So if you want to join us in Cabo, you need to take action now. We're staying at the beautiful Secrets Puerto Los Cabos Golf and Spa Resort. Adults only, all-inclusive, all-suites resort. Opened a few years ago. It's top of the line. 8 restaurants, 4 bars, a cigar bar for Dan, serving unlimited premium drinks, 24-hour-a-day room service.
That's my favorite kind of drink, unlimited.
The resort has 2 sparkling pools. I love pools. And access to 3 miles of pristine beaches. And for you golfers out there, adjacent to the resort, just outside the steps of the front entrance, are 2 9-hole golf courses designed by Jack Nicklaus and Greg Norman.
Not playing the Greg Norman course.
Yeah, why again aren't you playing the Greg Norman course?
He ruined my opportunity to caddy in the Western Open when it was at Butler when I was a caddy growing up, caddying at Chicago Golf Club, the oldest 18-hole golf course in America, as you know.
Because he brought his own caddy?
Yeah, he complained about not bringing. He complained about the year prior about having to use area club caddies rather than bring his own caddy, and so they changed the policy. So he not only screwed me, he screwed up caddies from throughout the Chicago metro region because, you know, he's a selfish Democrat. Remember, he had Bill Clinton at his home in Australia. Bill Clinton broke his foot there when he was playing grab ass with Chris Everett or whatever they were doing. So, so Greg Norman, you're on the list.
Okay, so Dan will be playing the Jack Nicklaus course. I'll probably be playing the Greg Norman course. So to book your trip today, you must visit 560theanswer.com. Keyword escape. That's 560theanswer.com. Keyword escape.
One of the first things you do when you know friends and family are coming over is panic. You need to clean up because your guests will remember if your home isn't tidy. So when it comes to your office space, the same holds true. You don't want your clients and customers to remember you for the wrong reasons. But who has the energy to maintain that great impression? Image One does. Image One is the difference maker when it comes to making that positive and lasting impression. The Image One team are your trained and certified cleaning impression experts for retail establishments, office and office buildings, schools, healthcare facilities, auto dealerships, and manufacturing. Image One is upgrading impressions all over Chicagoland. Call now for your impression evaluation with Image One, 630-616-1010. That's 630-616-1010 or online at imageonechicago.com. As the saying goes, you only get one chance to make that first impression. Make sure your impression is an Image One impression. Image One, 630-616-1010. Franchise opportunities are available. imageonechicago.com.
America has a serious narcotics problem. 90% of the world's narcotics are taken by Americans. They have a place, but when you're dealing with chronic pain, pain that doesn't go away or which frequently returns, there is a better way. You're masking the pain. We help you find and deal with the source of the chronic pain to get real relief. This is Ken Candido of Chicago Anesthesia Pain Specialists. We're serious players in pain. Our team are national leaders and we're educators in the treatment of pain. We will work with you to diminish or eliminate your pain in and help you get your life back. Contact us, we will help you. You don't have to live with chronic pain. We treat all pain. We don't mask it with painkillers and narcotics that are not good for you and which can be addictive. I have a simple message for you. If you or someone you love or someone you know has chronic pain, contact us. Treating chronic pain issues is what we do. We can make it better. Get an appointment and let's talk. MyPainChicago.com, MyPainChicago.com. All the info is available at MyPainChicago.com. Let's make you pain-free.
My name is David Hochberg, and I'm Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. That's right, I'm now Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, give me a call. I'm the same guy that's provided listeners with honest advice and outstanding customer service for the past 13 years. The only thing that's changed is where I work. When you want to refinance and pay off debt, you called me and I helped you. When your kids were purchasing their first home and you wanted to make sure they were working with a trustworthy lender, you called me and I helped them. If you would like to talk to me about a mortgage, please give me a call at 312-751-1333. That's 312-751-1333. Email me at david@pearldavid.com. That's david@PERLDavid.com. Or visit my website, am560david.com. 312-751-1333. Pearl Mortgage is an equal housing lender, Illinois residential mortgage licensee, 4358, licensed by DBO under California RMLA and MLS 19186. PearlMortgage.com licensing.
When elderly family require care, you insist on local medical professionals with specialized training in home services and nursing. Alliance Home Service is a leading family alternative to nursing home and institutional care. It's critical to ask the right questions when matching a caregiver to your loved one to maintain the most positive lifestyle for your entire family. Alliance Home Service is among a select group of Chicagoland companies providing in-home non-medical care such as hygiene, medication reminders, activities, and companionship and medical care. All caregivers have the highest level of training and expertise. You'll experience the cost efficiency of in-home care as well as the level of caring you expect from family. Call founder and registered nurse Linda Weiler at 866-227-3459 or visit alliancecaregiver.com for a no-obligation family care consultation. Alliance Home Service. Our family caring for your family. That's 866-227-3459 or alliancecaregiver.com.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Former United States Senator Scott Brown and I have a lot in common. We both did tasteful nudes for Cosmopolitan, but only one of us is endorsing Donald Trump. We'll talk to Senator Brown at 7:07.
And then poor Jeb Bush. Wait until you hear what happened to him. Kicking a man when he's down. But first, let's go back into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, aldermen ask Mayor Emanuel to boost mental health services, and the governor signs an executive order. WIND Chicago News Time, 7 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. More help is on the way for Syrians who fled their country's civil war. A global fundraiser is going on in London. The U.S. pledging another $925 million, much of it
direct humanitarian aid to provide food, shelter, water, medical care, and other vital relief to millions of people.
This as Secretary of State John Kerry faces questions about an even bigger payment to Iran. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Some Republicans are describing the payment as a ransom tied to the release of 5 American prisoners last month. California Congressman Ed Royce wrote a letter to Secretary of State Kerry complaining the House Foreign Relations Committee was not consulted about the settlement. The White House says the agreement was made to settle a dispute with Iran dating back to 1979, about $400 million in frozen funds, and that the remaining $1.3 billion was an interest payment. Dave?
Rachel, Donald Trump's accusing Ted Cruz of fraud winning Iowa.
This political stuff is dangerous, and these political people are really, really dishonest.
Cruz says Trump just doesn't like losing.
It is no surprise that Donald is throwing yet another temper tantrum, or if you like, yet another Trumper tantrum.
Cruz has apologized to Ben Carson for his staffers spreading a false rumor during the Iowa caucuses that Carson was going to drop out of the race. Rick Santorum has dropped out, endorsing Marco Rubio.
He is the new generation and someone that can bring this country together.
Bernie Sanders trying to paint Hillary Clinton as a moderate, reminding Democrats at a CNN forum about the vote in Congress on Iraq.
Secretary Clinton Clinton voted to go to war.
Clinton says Republicans keep trying to take her down.
There is no doubt about what they're doing and who the players are and what they're trying to achieve.
Clinton and Sanders will debate tonight, 5 days before the New Hampshire primary. 3 days before Super Bowl 50, there's no credible threat to the game, but Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson's reminding fans,
if you see something, say something, is more than a slogan.
There will be a 3 to 4 mile perimeter around the stadium with a lot of cybersecurity, and it's a no-drone zone. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Cloudy skies, 21 degrees, 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A fraternity at the University of Chicago is accused of sending racist emails. An anonymous member of Alpha Epsilon Pi passed along those emails to the website BuzzFeed. The group emails were all sent to members of the Jewish fraternity and included a host, according to BuzzFeed, of derogatory and racist comments about Muslims and blacks. Chicago Police Department is taking action to fire one officer and discipline 2 others in a case that's connected to former Mayor Richard Daley. The move stemmed from a case in 2004 when prosecutors say the mayor's nephew, Richard Van Ecko, punched and killed David Kochman. Interim Superintendent John Escalante is moving to fire Lieutenant Dennis Walsh. Chicago Teachers Union says they'll take their business elsewhere. CTU's Secretary Michael Brunson saying Chicago Public Schools should follow their lead and remove funding from Bank of America.
The board is literally choosing teacher layoffs and special ed cuts to pay Bank of America profit.
Union officials say the bank profiting from interest swaps have cost the district millions. Governor Rauner sidestepping the Illinois legislature. We get the latest reason why from AM 560's David Stewart.
Governor Rauner and Democrats couldn't agree on a plan to privatize the state's existing business recruitment effort, so Rauner's forming his own group that will negotiate with companies on state incentives. Rauner says they'll do a better job from outside of government.
We want the best and the brightest, most creative deal structurers in the world to come here. They're not going to go through that baloney. Running our state government with the restrictions we've got around recruiting talent is almost impossible, and this is going to free us up from a lot of that.
Rauner brushed off questions about transparency in this board's operations. His executive order isn't clear about how public its dealings will be. David Stewart, Chicago.
This morning, the FBI will double the reward for information about last year's arson fire at the Noble Horse Theater in Old Town. It destroyed 13 horse-drawn carriages. Investigators are hoping an offer of $10,000 will produce clues about the February fire that did about $130,000 damage, but did not harm horses. Chicago sports, Antoine Moore, 24 points, and the Bulls win over Sacramento, 107-102. Men's college hoops found the Fighting Illini with a Big Ten win over Rutgers in triple overtime, 110-101. The news service of Jewel Osco score big game savings at Jewel's 3-day sale. Get 10 pub burgers for just $10. Select varieties of Hormel chili with beans, just 99 cents, limit 4. Top it off with Lucerne chunk or shredded cheese, 2 for $3, limit 4. 7:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Valentine's Day is next week, and Pro Flowers is offering an amazing deal. 1 dozen assorted roses plus a free glass vase for just $19.99. And this week only, we will also include chocolates for free. Go to proflowers.com, click on the microphone in the right corner, and enter code 1515. But hurry, this incredible deal expires this Friday. Order now from Pro Flowers. You pick the delivery date, and it's guaranteed. 1 dozen stunning assorted roses, guaranteed to stay fresh and beautiful for at least 7 days for $19.99. And we'll include a vase for free. Fresh flowers, guaranteed delivery, and add-ons to complete your gift. Pro Flowers has everything you need to win Valentine's Day. But hurry, this incredible deal expires this Friday. The only way to get this amazing Valentine's Day deal is to visit proflowers.com. Click on the blue microphone in the upper right corner and enter the secret code 1515. That's proflowers.com. Secret code 1515.
At GoDaddy, a domain name is the beginning of something awesome. Use it to create a website to promote your business. Open an online store to sell your products. Start a blog. Build your brand. You can even connect your domain to your LinkedIn or Facebook page. And GoDaddy customer support is always ready to help. What will you do with your domain name? Get a .com domain name for only $2.99 for the first year. Right now at GoDaddy.com. 2-year purchase required. Second year is $14.99.
Meet Pam.
She's making serious money on her own schedule driving with Uber.
The first time I turned the app on was because I was going to visit my sister and thought I should probably make some extra cash so that when I'm on my trip, I'll have spending money. And then I had $400. I have a full-time job and I'm also self-employed. This is the best decision I made. It's a no-brainer, really.
Thanks, Pam. To start making great money with your car, sign up to drive today at drivewithuber.com. That's drivewithuber.com.
7:06, time to check the climate of your business with aircomfort.com. 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. And in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center, here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. The inbound Edens Expressway has delays from Peterson to the junction. It's 23 minutes Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 22. Inbound Kennedy, delays start at Cumberland. 30 minutes O'Hare to downtown, outbound 27. Inbound Eisenhower, 45 minutes, Thorndale to the post office, outbound 35. Stevenson, 46 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound it's clear. Ryan is 21 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, Bishop Ford, both 26 minutes, I-80 to the merge. Lakeshore Drive, okay for now. Northbound Tri-State, stop and go, Roosevelt to North Avenue. Northbound Veterans Memorial, heavy 63rd to the Reagan Tollway. Other tollways are good. No delays to report in Northwest Indiana. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the aircomfort.com Weather Center, aircomfort.com, 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Today, intervals of clouds and sunshine, high of 32. Patchy clouds for tonight with a low of 23. Tomorrow, some sun, then turning cloudy with a high of 33 and a low 25. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
21 at O'Hare, 23 along Chicago's lakefront. Next news coming up at 7:30. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by RadioPlumbingDeals.com. Have a plumbing problem? Get the best plumbers in Chicagoland and massive discounts at RadioPlumbingDeals.com.
Good morning. Welcome to your Thursday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
Facing a primary showdown in New Hampshire just 6 days from now, Donald Trump is talking about a do-over in Iowa, where he came in second place behind Ted Cruz.
I wake up every day and laugh at the latest thing Donald has tweeted because he's losing it.
I think the next president needs to be a lot quieter, but send a signal that we're prepared to act in the national security interests of this country to get back in the business of creating a more peaceful world. Please clap.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So, Amy, Scott Brown rose to national prominence back in 2010 when he ran for the open Senate seat, the Senate seat that was vacated because of the passing of Senator Ted Kennedy. And Brown, Republican, first-time candidate, won a surprising victory in Massachusetts over Martha Coakley. He served in the Senate, later ran last cycle in New Hampshire for Senate, lost a narrow race to Jeanne Shaheen, tough Democrat in New Hampshire. I mean, you know him from well back when he did those tasteful spreads in Cosmo.
The June issue, 1982.
You remember it well.
I remember.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, I don't know. I don't know what Scott Brown is going on like this weekend. I mean, maybe you fly him out here. You guys grab a cup of coffee or something casual, taking a movie. I don't know. I don't know what he has planned, but probably a lot of surrogating around the state of New Hampshire for Donald Trump, who he endorsed to the surprise of many. We're now joined by former United States Senator Scott Brown to explain his endorsement. Senator Brown, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, good to be on in Chicago. Now, Dan, do you still have that 1982 spread on your screensaver or what?
I do. I was hoping that when you come to Chicago as the Trump bandwagon rolls through the Midwest, maybe I'll get an autograph. You know,
but you have to sign mine as well.
Yeah,
that's a little weird, man. Listen,
it really is. Yes.
I love Chicago. I spent a lot of time there helping Senator Kirk, who's a dear, dear friend, and I love actually running down along the lake and had some just great experiences there, and so I'm happy to be on, and so fire away.
Amy likes running by the lake too.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. So your endorsement of Donald Trump, it surprised many. You were in the United States Senate, and as I've seen you on Fox News and elsewhere, kind of an understated guy, kind of room temperature guy, not a guy that is particularly braggadocious.
Right.
And that is a different personality type than the candidate you endorse for president.
Sure. So let me explain to your listeners. So I've had something in New Hampshire. It's the only place in the country that's done this. I've had these things since June called the No BS Backyard Barbecues, where the candidates literally come to my house. I get hot dogs and beer for about anywhere from 3 to 1,200 people come to my backyard, and they grab a launcher and they literally grill the candidates. So I've had 10 of those candidates to my house. Most recently, Ted Cruz about a month ago. We had him in a barn. We had over 500 people. Trump, we had over 1,200. And I know every one of them, and I believe it in my heart that any single one of them right now would make a better president than Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. So let's start off with that. That being said, knowing them all and having an opportunity to see them in an environment where they're literally unfettered, unfiltered, getting grilled by everyday New Hampshire residents, it was fascinating, I'll be honest with you. And then to be able to follow up throughout the process over the last 7 months and ask them specific questions, see how they react under fire, they're all good. Let's start with that. That being said, what separated Donald from the others is that I was there for 3 years. It's an incredibly gridlocked, broken system in Washington right now, and I want somebody who's going to go down and be a change agent, somebody who's going to be an agent of change and go down there and shake it up and not be like the others. Independently funded, doesn't owe anybody anything in terms of the PACs, the lobbyists, or anything like that. So he can go in and basically really shake it up, which it needs to get slapped upside its head to get back to doing the people's business. That's number one. Number two, he's one of the only guys in the race who's actually had a private sector job and actually created tens of thousands of jobs. So he understands business clearly. That being said, he's also smart enough to hire and engage brilliant people in the financial field come in and look at our $19 trillion debt and our $1 trillion deficits and the lackluster economy we have and come up with new and different ideas outside the box that can get our economy back on track. So that's number two. And number three, finally, I've been talking about ISIS, and our border security and our standing in the world long before any of these candidates were doing it. I talked about it back in 2010 that we need to shut the border, make sure criminal and terrorist elements don't come through the border. And so I agree with him on that. Now, do I agree with him on how he says it? No, not necessarily. Do I agree on some of the other things? No. But I'm not going to find, a perfect candidate. I don't agree with my wife on everything. So there you go.
But what about on matters of national security and foreign policy? Do you trust him?
Yeah, here's what I think about that specific. When Reagan came in, did people trust him? Yeah, they feared him. I want our foes to fear us. I want that unpredictability of our foes to say, "Oh my God, we can't do that because of President so-and-so, President Reagan, What happened to Iran when they with the hostages the day after Reagan got elected?" So one thing about Donald Trump is he's a man of his word, as evidenced by the debate, not participating in saying what he believes. He may be wrong, but he at least is sticking to his guns and not looking at polls and all this other stuff. I think that's really important. And the other thing that I found as I've gotten to know him over the years is that he surrounds himself with people who know more than he does on specific issues and lets them do their jobs. And I believe that he's going to protect our law enforcement. And in Chicago especially, you guys need some real serious help there. Rahm Emanuel has done just a horrendous job protecting people's lives in that city. And then number two, you have the military. He wants to address the veterans issues, which as one of the members of the Veterans Committee and someone who served for 35 years, the last 4 in the Pentagon, I understand that issue like the back of my hand, and I believe it when he says he's going to make our military strong again and also get our veterans cared for once again. That's critically important to me.
Now, you're certainly right about Rahm Emanuel in Chicago. There's no question about that. In terms of Donald Trump and polls, he may not look at them, but he certainly likes to talk about them a lot. And I guess my question would be, coming off of Iowa, and Donald Trump, I guess, is still not ready to stop talking about Iowa. But coming off of that, sometimes New Hampshire is wont to go a different direction than Iowa. It's a different composition, both, mainly philosophically.
It's a different state. Yeah,
philosophically kind of different composition and spiritually. And I wonder if anything has changed in terms of Trump support and the feeling on the ground as you're having these backyard barbecues and whatnot with respect to Trump from pre-Monday night to today.
So let's talk about Iowa. Don't forget, Donald Trump was a 10th 6 months ago. He wasn't even supposed to show up there, and he came in. And don't forget, he's a novice. He's not seasoned like all the other guys. Ted Cruz and Rubio, who I love dearly, and others, they have a ground game, and they know what a ground game is. He doesn't even know what a ground game is, and had he known that he had a chance to win it, he had one poll that had him up. To finish second against these seasoned, politicians is, I find, incredible, number one. Number two, yes, New Hampshire is different. It's a smaller state. The evangelicals are not as strong, about 13%. In New Hampshire, it's last in terms of church attendance, so there's a different religious fervor here. And also, it is very important to go and meet the people and see them 3 to 4 to 5 times. I was at an event the other night. We had 5,000 people at an event, and there was another 2,000 outside, and it was an incredibly energetic situation. I knew a lot of those people, the hardcore grassroots activists who are going to get out and vote, and they believe in the fact that he and they want to make America great again. It's wonderful. I've always said we live in the greatest country in the world, and we need to reestablish our trust with our allies and have our foes fear us. It's the same exact thing. And the whole point is, I feel a lot of energy. He's got a good ground game here. I've been working on it since I jumped on board and giving him some assets that he didn't need and just going in areas he doesn't have. And he's obviously strong, but he's going to run like he's 20 points down.
Now, some people have speculated, though, that this might be somehow a paid endorsement or that maybe you'll show up later on down the road on The Apprentice.
Boy, I wish I had that job. All the money they get.
Yeah, maybe better than Schwarzenegger. Sure.
Who would have known? Who would have known that they make that much money? Oh my goodness.
So
no paid endorsements here. No, I'm good. I just I thought long and hard about it. And listen, I really care deeply. I have personal relationships with every one of the other people. So it was a tough choice. And I'm getting hammered by some of those supporters. But I explained to them my position, and they say, yeah, I get it.
Do you think that two questions kind of in the same vein? Do you think Donald Trump expands the universe of Republican primary voters and subsequently, if he's the nominee, Republican general election voters, number one? And number two, how does he fare in a general election in New Hampshire, which is which elects Republicans? Kelly Ayotte, for example, you narrowly lost the race, but it was a very close race. But also elects Democrats. It's a toss-up state.
Sure. Well, first of all, yes, I think he does expand it. I think he's brought energy to the whole equation with the viewership and just letting people know about not only him, but the other great candidates, too. They've been getting the coattail effect and really getting noticed. And I thought by him not showing up, it gave Marco and Ted an opening that they really shouldn't have gotten. And I told him that. In terms of the general election, who knows? You guys, is it going to be Hillary? Should be. She was anointed, and she's battling with a socialist. Are you kidding me? She's going to get crushed here in New Hampshire, and I think she lost. That's a loss in Iowa. You can say you lost by won by coin tosses. That's a joke. But is she going to be her? Who knows? This email situation is real. I mean, as a former United States Senator, we get briefed daily on the safety and security of all of our phones, our iPhones, you name it, computers, staff, family, everything. And as a Secretary of State, she knew or should have known it was classified, especially when allegedly she asked it to be scrubbed before it was sent. And even if it wasn't marked classified, when you're talking about other world leaders' schedules and you're talking about, even what you're eating for lunch, that's top secret. That's secret. It's secret because you get in a pattern and people figure out this routine. And she knew it, and she's hiding behind words. And quite frankly, if any one of your listeners right now, we'd be indicted and in jail.
All right. He is former United States Senator Scott Brown endorsing Donald Trump for the Republican nomination for President of the United States. Senator Brown, thanks so much for joining us. And Amy looks forward to running along the lake with you when you visit Chicago.
Well, I'm going to be out helping Senator Kirk, who's a great guy, and he's a tireless advocate for Illinois. And, an Army, he's in the military. We served over in Afghanistan, and people want to reach me, they can go to @SenSEM_Brown on Twitter and like me on Facebook. I'll be happy to, argue or praise you or, just communicate. So thank you.
Great.
Right.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
And he joined us on our Turnkey.pro I'll Run With You answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Today, we're going to have some clouds and some sunshine by this afternoon, 32 degrees, and a repeat for tomorrow. Sun, then turning cloudy, a high of 32. Travel times, how's the inbound Kennedy? Here's Jim Telemonte with the answer.
Well, Amy and Dan, running might be a little faster than driving on the inbound Kennedy. The way things are going, the travel time has really jumped here in the last few minutes. With delays from Cumberland all the way downtown, it's 40 minutes from O'Hare to the Burn Circle, 19 from Montrose, and the express lanes are no help. Outbound 26 minutes downtown to O'Hare. Edens, 23 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 22. The Eisenhower, 46 minutes, Thorndale to downtown, outbound 33. Stevenson, 50 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, it's fine outbound. Ryan is 26 minutes, 95th to downtown. Inbound Bishop Ford at 130th, there's a stall in the right lane. It's about 21 minutes from I-80 to the merge. That's on the Bishop Ford or I-57. Northbound Tri-State, heavy 95th to 87th. Plainfield Road to the Hinsdale Oasis, and Ogden to 31st and Roosevelt to North Avenue. Eastbound Reagan Tollway a little tight from 53 to 355. I'm Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com, Traffic Center.
Get out and have some fun. Visit ChicagoRadioDeals.com for a fun night on the town. Grab your Sweet Caroline and make a date to listen to your favorite music. Direct from Branson, Missouri, Denny Diamond and the Jewels. Featuring the music of, you guessed it, Neil Diamond. Normally $76 for lunch and a show for two. Only $39 at ChicagoRadioDeals.com. Or head downtown for some laughs. $22 will get you a pair of tickets to Comedy Sports Chicago. It's a unique blend of fast and funny improv comedy that's appropriate for all ages. This Laugh Out Loud show features two improv teams that play games on stage with a referee, and the audience is in on it for a laugh out loud good time. Or hit the waves and take advantage of the Sea Dog. I'm sorry, the Sea Dog Extreme Thrill
Today's
Ride.
a nice day for a ride on the Sea Dog.
Oh, you won't get wet or anything. Breaking some ice. Or a lakefront speedboat cruise. Lake Michigan and Architectural Tour also awaits you as well. All from Entertainment Cruise Lines. And if you want to get out of town, well, then escape to Wisconsin. Purchase an overnight stay at the Schuster Mansion in Milwaukee. So check in every week for fun and adventure with your family and friends only at ChicagoRadioDeals.com.
I've been taking it, and I'm actually feeling better. I know that I'm not coughing anymore, and I was coughing all the time.
I notice my body feels better.
I have diabetes. I had my blood work done, and I had really good numbers.
I want to thank you for your product and all that. It's been great.
I got my kids taking them now. I got my parents taking them. My brothers, my best friends. I got everybody on them.
I love the product, and I love Dr. Howard. I trust him. I feel safe. I think his product is superb. I'm going to continue with it.
Get started early on your New Year's resolution with our best price of the year. Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO. This Valentine's Day, give the gift that costs less than roses and lasts forever. Name a star after someone you love. I'm Rocky Moselle with International Star Registry. Call 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com and tell that special someone how much you care. For $54, we will send a beautiful personalized gift, and the new star name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Make it a Valentine's Day you will treasure forever. Call 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com and give the gift of a star.
I'm Dan Smith for Private Plus Mortgage, and now's a great time to refinance your home. Rates are still near historic lows, property values are up, and we want to pay your closing costs. Now that's a formula for saving money. Call Private Plus Mortgage today, 888-220-6200. 888-220-6200.
Private Bank of Buckhead, 3 Piedmont Center, Atlanta, Georgia, 30305. Actual terms may vary. Member FDIC, equal housing lender, NMLS number 758195. Call toll free for credit costs and terms.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy were talking to Senator Scott Brown, former United States Senator Scott Brown, his endorsement of Donald Trump. It's receiving decidedly mixed reactions via text. But, Amy, one of the things Scott Brown said is Donald Trump turned out 5,000 people for a forum in New Hampshire, 2,000 people standing outside trying to get in. That is not a problem Jeb Bush has to deal with.
No, Jeb Bush, once presumed to have an easy path to the GOP nomination, came in 6th place Monday in Iowa, just netting 3%. So he's trying to, get back in the limelight to try to get voters to to get people to vote for him. And yesterday during his little meeting, he asked people to please clap, please love me.
So here's my pledge to you. I will be a commander-in-chief that will have the back of the military. I won't trash talk. I won't be a divider-in-chief or an agitator-in-chief. I won't be out there blowharding, talking a big game without backing it up. I think the next president needs to be a lot quieter, but send a signal that we're prepared to act in the national security interests of this country to get back in the business of creating a more peaceful world. Please clap.
He just looks exasperated and he looks lonely up there, but that's not the worst part. Then at another point in the same event, the lights in the room abruptly went off and he joked that somebody accidentally leaned against the wall, trying to make them laugh.
Yeah, that's because they dozed off like they did during his speech, which is why they weren't clapping at the appropriate time.
But he said, this is showing leadership. I'm going to have the lights turned back on. But then they came back on, but then they went out again because the hotel was having issues with electricity. So it wasn't a great event for the Jebster.
Yeah, you're begging people to clap.
Now's when you clap.
Indicative of the enthusiasm you're generating, I suppose. By the way, going back to his brothers, I'm a uniter, not a divider. That's pretty fresh stuff from Jeb. One of his surrogates, Lindsey Graham, was on Morning Joe yesterday. We'll give Jeb equal time here. Yeah. Making his case by trying to take apart the other candidates. Here's Lindsey Graham on Ted Cruz's chances to win the presidency if he's the Republican nominee.
1 in 10. The problem we have as Republicans is that we're losing the largest and fastest growing demographic, Hispanics. And when you ask them after 2012 why they don't like the Republican Party, it's the immigration issue and the way we handled it. So Ted was for legalization, no matter what he tells you, and now he says he wasn't.
Jeff Duncan, three-term congressman from South Carolina, disagrees with Lindsey Graham.
Hello, this is Congressman Jeff Duncan, and I'm excited to announce that I'm endorsing Ted Cruz for president. I know that when Ted says he's going to do something, he does it. Ted isn't a campaign conservative. He's a proven conservative who has led so many critical fights, ranging from defense of our traditional values and for our religious liberties, to fighting runaway government spending, to battling against Obamacare.
Lindsey Graham then took the turn on Donald Trump.
And the only person who'd do worse than Ted is Trump. And if you vote for Trump as a Republican, you're buying a ticket on the Titanic after you saw the movie. Don't do that.
What is wrong?
Yeah, he's him and Huckabee with their homespun colloquialisms. They're fun. And then Graham on Rubio.
Marco did well in Iowa. I like Marco, but he has now turned hard right. He's abandoning the bill he worked on with me.
There you go. A real defense of, I don't know if that's helping Marco Rubio. I mean, I should say, I think that is helping Marco Rubio, other than the part about Graham reminding everyone that he worked on the Gang of Eight bill with Graham. So Rubio and Cruz are too conservative, according to Lindsey, and Donald Trump is the Titanic.
He's backing Jeb Bush. Did he say anything positive while he had that opportunity about the candidate he's supporting?
No, he was just mostly doing Jeb's dirty work for him.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Having a great smile to show off makes you feel good. There's no embarrassment associated with being able to flash your pearly whites whenever you want. If you'd like to feel that comfort and confidence with your smile, there's only one person who can help you. Dr. Neruzzi of Fox River Periodontics.
This is Brian DeWolf. I have 2 implants from Fox River Periodontics. I had one, I was happy with it, so I had another one done, and I love them. The idea of dentures didn't appeal to me at all. I didn't want that appliance in my mouth. These implants are wonderful. They're just like your real teeth, and they're probably even better because there's no nerve attached to them, so there's no pain, and they'll last forever. Dr. Neruzzi is great, and his staff is wonderful, and I trust him completely. If you're looking for dental implants, or considering dental implants for a missing tooth or for a whole mouthful, talk to Dr. Neruzzi. He'll be happy you did, and Fox River Periodontics.
This is Dr. Neruzzi. I personally guarantee your happiness with your implants. Go to implantsforme.com.
Let's go see some sunshine and come with us, Dan and Amy, as we escape to Cabo. We're going to the Secrets Puerto Los Cabos Golf and Spa Resort. What is this music? April 2nd through the 9th, Saturday to Saturday. It's presented by Dermatology and Plastic Surgery Associates and by Artistic Dentistry. The exclusive Apple Vacations price has expired, but there's still limited availability. So if you want to join us in Cabo, take action today. Again, we're staying at a wonderful resort, adults only, all-inclusive, all suites. It's got all the amenities, all the bells and whistles, and it has 2 9-hole golf courses right on property. So join us in Cabo. Book your trip today. Visit 560theanswer.com, keyword escape. That's 560theanswer.com, keyword escape. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Bernie has a problem with anybody who makes more than $200,000 in an hour.
And wait till you hear the questions that Hillary had to answer. But first, let's go back into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Amy, if you don't know your Jimmy Buffett, then you may have to be left behind. I'll go with Dan, and we'll leave you here. 23 degrees outside, cloudy skies. The IRS this morning is hoping all of its computer problems are on the way to being fixed. The tax agency says a hardware failure yesterday left a lot of its processing systems unavailable. Last night, the biggest problem was the IRS not being able to accept electronically filed tax returns. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump continuing his attacks on rival Ted Cruz at a rally in Arkansas.
This political stuff is dangerous, and these political people are really, really dishonest. Really dishonest.
Cruz saying the New York real estate mogul is throwing a Trumper tantrum. Senator Bernie Sanders predicting a very close finish in New Hampshire's presidential primary.
The point is we are going to work as hard as we can to win. And after we do hopefully well here, we're going to go on to Nevada and then South Carolina and do as well as we can all over this country.
Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton was forced to burnish up her claims that she really is a progressive.
I was somewhat amused today that Senator Sanders has set himself up to be the gatekeeper on who's a progressive, because under the definition that was flying around on Twitter and statements by the campaign, Barack Obama would not be a progressive, Joe Biden would not be a progressive.
The 2 remaining Democratic presidential candidates took part in a CNN town hall forum. A sexual assault case against Bill Cosby can go to trial. A Pennsylvania judge ruled yesterday that prosecutors can put the comedian on trial for charges that he assaulted a woman more than a decade ago. Chicago Police Department taking action to fire one officer and discipline others in a case connected to former Mayor Richard Daley. It's the Richard Vaneco case. Chicago Public Schools selling $725 million in tax-exempt bonds. It says will help the district get through the rest of the school year. A judge orders a suburban Chicago woman held without bond in the poisoning death of her husband after prosecutors say Julia Gutierrez tried to kill him before. Bulls beat Sacramento 107-102 last night behind 24 from Etuan Moore. The news service of Lead Safe America. Do you live in an historic home? Are you renovating? Your children could be at risk of lead poisoning. It takes just a microscopic amount of lead dust to poison a child. Learn more at leadsafeamerica.org. 7:35, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
America right now is better off than it's ever been. Man, if I thought that, I wouldn't fight.
The Joe Walsh Show.
50 52% of young people would do away with the First Amendment. We have people being fined and threatened with jail time for exercising their religious freedom. Yes, I am a pessimist, but that's why I fight.
The Joe Walsh Show, weeknights starting at 5, right after Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Cornerstone National Bank believes trust, service, and relationship is the foundation of a business banking partnership. Cornerstone National Bank and Trust Company, where you belong. Visit cornerstonenb.com. Member FDIC.
This Valentine's Day is all about showing that special someone how much you love them, and no good gesture goes unnoticed. But some loved ones this year, aside from the ones close to you, could use a little love from you too. 2-year-old Elliot Grants has been diagnosed with grade 4 glioblastoma, and he and his family could use your love and support at Austin's Fuel Room in Libertyville on Valentine's Day from 5 to 10 p.m. for their Grace of Grants event. Tickets include apps, drinks, and a live show from crooner Ron Hawking, but most importantly, the $125 price tag goes directly towards easing the financial burden that the Grants family has taken on as they spend their Valentine's Day fighting to keep their biggest love alive, well, and taken care of. Please join in their fight and show the Grants family what true love this Valentine's Day really looks like. For more info, please call 847-549-1972 or visit austinssaloon.com.
7:36 in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center. The latest with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. It's slow going on the inbound Kennedy from Sayre to the Burn Circle. 54 minutes. O'Hare to downtown. 34 from Montrose. 30 in the Express. Outbound 28 to O'Hare. Edens is 23 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose. Outbound 22. The Eisenhower. 48 minutes. Thorndale to downtown. Outbound 34. Stevenson 50 minutes. 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. The Ryan 26 minutes. 95th to downtown. Seen delays on the northbound Tri-State in pockets from 95th to 31st, then from Roosevelt to North Avenue, eastbound Adams Tollway stop and go Higgins to Roselle. The crash on the right shoulder. Traffic is a service of the Foundation for a Better Life. While many rose up with violence, he sat down for peace. Mahatma Gandhi reached out with a strength cultivated within his soul. Pass it on from the Foundation for a Better Life at values.com. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Clouds and sun today, high 32, a low of 22 overnight. We have mostly sunny skies right now. Clouds are parting, 21 at O'Hare and 23 along the lakefront. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Gibbons Financial Group. The Social Security laws have changed. Visit ssupdate.com for your free customized Social Security analysis.
Your money. Find out how to keep more of it and live debt-free. Tonight on The Dave Ramsey Show, starting at 7 on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, we were mentioning some of the endorsements that the various candidates are getting. We should also mention, in the interest of fairness, Rick Santorum dropping out of the race yesterday, endorsing Marco Rubio.
Yeah, because he believes he's the only one who can win a general election.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Jim Gilmore.
Yes.
We should mention Jim Gilmore.
Wait, the Jim Gilmore who received 12 votes. 12 votes in the state of Iowa.
As one tweeter put it, Steeler fan, Steeler fan is his Twitter handle, Jim Gilmore and his 12 apostles.
Oh, nice.
That's very Christ-like. Nice. Gilmore tweeted out yesterday, started out the campaign 1 of 17, now 1 of 9, hashtag still standing. I'm still standing better than I ever did.
Looking like a true survivor. Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Is this on?
Yeah, right. You're not in the shower with Scott Brown. And so Jim Gilmore doing good.
He's doing
closing
well.
in.
Yes, he is.
All coming together for Jim Gilmore. So look for him as the race moves to some other dimension where Jim Gilmore could compete. Then there's this. I want to get to this before we go to Bernie and Hillary and their little
love fest.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it was love fest. It was very strange.
Yeah, with Anderson Cooper, the giggling throughout. This piece, I want to offer you a look into the mind of the leftist. Salon.com. In terms of left-leaning opinion sites, Salon.com is about as mainstream as it gets. And there's this piece about Ted Cruz and his victory in Iowa. Ted Cruz's radical supporters. He won Iowa on the back of the scariest Bible thumpers in the business. For the religious right, especially the most skin-crawlingly creepy folks in the religious right, Cruz's edging Donald Trump out of the polls represents a huge victory. The Republican Party will still have to pay tribute to the nasty Cruz that used Jesus as a cover to push their lifelong obsession with controlling other people's sex lives, especially if those people are female or queer. I'm quoting from the Salon.com piece. Cruz clawed his way to victory in Iowa by implying that he's a religious messiah, a prophet who is the next best thing to the second coming of Jesus.
I didn't hear that.
Cruz has been portraying his campaign as a religious war in which the true believers will assert themselves as the rightful rulers of the nation. The Jesus Walks act of Ted Cruz worked like a charm, as Cruz sucked up a veritable rogues gallery of every creepy straight guy who claims he loves Jesus, but has his eyes firmly fixed on the crotches of America. It was his apparent pull with evangelical voters suggesting that the single-minded obsession with the underpants of America was finally starting to fade on the right. Does that sound mainstream to you? I mean, this is as mainstream a leftist outlet as exists. And you get something you'd expect to hear from the Klan, but then again, of course, the KKK was 90-something% Democrat. My point is, this was published in a mainstream liberal publication because it speaks to the majority of the American left today. Your liberal friends at work don't say these things in this way. They don't obsessively talk about other people's genitalia, which is essentially what this outlet did in their hit piece on Cruz. But this is how they think. This is what Salon and the left thinks of evangelicals or people of faith generally. Just thought you should know, because if you think it's just Ted Cruz that's going to get this kind of treatment, no. Marco Rubio will get it. Jeb Bush will get it. Hillary can make a pay-on to being a person of faith
and not even mention the church she grew up in.
Well, I mean,
come on.
Well, that's
or even
that's
her denomination. Saying. I mean, she just said, "I grew up in a church." I mean, what are you, Presbyterian? What are you?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's a feint by Hillary, with an eye towards the general election. I mean, that's the only. It's always marketing position with Hillary. But I mean, I just want people to understand this is what the left in America today thinks. Salon.com is just willing to say it.
Well, Ted Cruz told Jonathan Karl from ABC News that he won Iowa because of one television ad.
Donald Trump, New York values, not ours.
And he said that is what put him over the top.
So the New York values attack worked.
Here in Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, Nevada, everyone knows what New York values are.
By the way, it is worth noting that as we stand here today, this is we talked to Scott Brown. Only 13% of the voters in New Hampshire are evangelical, the least church-going state in the nation. Ted Cruz is in second place. Ted Cruz is in second place, the person that was just described by Salon.com as such. But yesterday,
that was a hack piece.
Well,
I mean, it was,
but I'm
some
telling
people think he uses too much Judeo-Christian vocabulary, and he's too. Some people see Ted Cruz, just so you know, and don't hate the messenger.
No.
They see him as a televangelist.
I'm telling you, this is what the left thinks. What's in the Salon.com piece, this obsession with other people's private parts.
That's a little too much.
I mean, no.
And he never came out and
Cruz,
said, I'm the Messiah, I'm the second coming. He never said that.
Nobody talks like this. Nobody on the right talks like this Salon.com piece talks. Or is obsessed the way the Salon.com piece. I mean, that's the funny thing. They're projecting. They're obsessed. But that's what they think of Ted Cruz and anybody on the center right who expresses any faith and any religiosity, even any respect for religious freedom. You have to understand how they think. So your liberal friends who, common ground, we agree to disagree. This is what they think of you. If you fall into the categories I just described. And you don't have to be an evangelical, and you don't have to wear your religion on the sleeve. If you have an honest commitment to your faith, this is what they think of you. Period. Yesterday, speaking of two people who think that way, Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton squared off, and they've agreed to 4 more debates so that they can saw the same sawdust they did with Anderson Cooper on CNN last night. Why don't you play a couple of your favorite Q&A sessions?
This is a new Hillary. She said the word progressive more than 13 times because that's what it was all about. And she has a new motto.
I have an uphill climb, and I'm going to climb as high and hard as I can. And I'm a progressive who likes to get things done. I'm going to try to break the highest and hardest glass ceiling. I hope it splinters completely.
The high hard. That's a new one, the high hard. But people in the audience, they had a few moments. Bernie Sanders came out first and talked about what car he drove, a little red Chevy, the smallest Chevy you can possibly own that gets great gas mileage. And then people asked him questions in the audience. Then Hillary, it was her turn to come out, and she made some comments about the high hard and took questions.
About the what?
The high hard. She's going to hit it high and hard. Didn't you just hear that, or did you go to your happy place?
I don't like when she says high and hard. It makes me uncomfortable.
I know. You need a safe space. But somebody in the audience asked her questions about women in the military and end-of-life choices and how she can survive. Here's a rabbi.
Hello, Rabbi.
Hello. Another rabbi, Rabbi Simcha Bunim, taught that every person has to have 2 pockets. And in each pocket, they have to carry a different note. And the note in one pocket says, "The universe was created for me." And in the other pocket, the note says, "I am just dust and ashes." How do you cultivate the ego that we all know you must have, a person must have to be the leader of the free world? And also the humility to recognize that we know that you can't be expected to be wise about all the things that the president has to be responsible for.
See, it's those kind of questions that you miss by not watching that Democratic town hall.
I think that rabbi has a pocket full of sunshine, with apologies to Natasha Bedingfield. But I like the question. It's a thoughtful question. I would be fascinated to hear anybody respond to that, anybody being Sanders or Hillary, to see if they even understand what he's talking about.
Yeah, well, she responded. Here's a quick second.
Thank you, Rabbi. I think about this a lot. I feel very fortunate that I am a person of faith, that I was raised in my church, and that I have had to deal and struggle with.
That's enough. That's painful in the ears.
Yeah.
But it was about, and then, Bernie Sanders, they asked him about Larry David and who's really who.
I am Larry David. And you didn't get it.
He is Larry David. And is he too old to be president?
When I was a kid, I was a long-distance runner.
You would be 83 at the end of your second term.
But, thank goodness. Let's not be ageist here.
I'm not.
Stop tickling Anderson. Stop it.
He was all bubbly. All excited to be there yesterday.
He's ticklish.
Stop it. But Hillary was trying to attract younger voters as a new mantra. Here's what I want young people to know. They don't have to be for me. I'm going to be for them. Do you like it?
I don't care.
Do you like it, Dan?
I'm sorry, she said something.
Well, again, you went to your happy place.
One of Hillary's young supporters, I just want a little programming note here, that she took the time to meet with on the campaign trail because, both Hillary and Bernie and the left are beholden to Black Lives Matter and these other professional agitators. D. Ray McKesson, one of the founders of Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
You may remember D. Ray McKesson from such infamous instances as tweeting out that the person who murdered that reporter and cameraman on the air was white.
Oh, that's right. That's a little bit.
Turned out he wasn't. D. Ray McKesson, you may remember, as having said that the raids in France after the Paris terrorist attacks sounded like witch hunts to him.
Right.
Well, D. Ray McKesson now is running for mayor of Baltimore. He's going to pick up where good old Mayor SRB, Stephanie Rawlings Blake, left off and creating.
Where's SRB going?
She's not running again.
Uh-oh, why not?
Higher
political aspirations,
Yeah,
possibly?
I doubt that. I doubt she's going anywhere, politically at least. But he's going to pick up right where she left off with creating safe spaces to riot. Could you imagine what an urban center would look like with D. Ray McKesson as the mayor? The only good news about that potential coming to pass, is that Baltimore would then probably supplant Chicago as the worst governed major city in the country.
I'm the only candidate up here who's not a billionaire. I don't have a super PAC. I don't even have a backpack. I carry my stuff around loose in my arms like a professor, between classes.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Sunshine right now. It's beautiful out. 32 degrees for a high, and then tomorrow some sun, then some clouds by the afternoon, but still pretty mild for this time of year, a high of 32 degrees. Let's see if there's mild conditions on the roadways. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Not in Chicago, Amy. It's a lot heavier here than in Baltimore, that's for sure. The Kennedy inbound is jammed. Sayre to the Burn Circle, it's 55 minutes. O'Hare to downtown. The express lane save maybe 2 minutes. Outbound 28 minutes downtown to the airport. Eden's 23 minutes either way between Lake Cook and Montrose. The Eisenhower, 1 hour from Thorndale to downtown. 47 minutes from Manheim. Outbound 35 to Thorndale. Stevenson, 55 minutes. 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan is 26 minutes, 95th to downtown. Lakeshore Drive. Southbound jammed. Wilson to Fullerton and 18th to the Stevenson where the ramp's backed up. Northbound from the Stevenson to 18th. Eastbound Adams Tollway stop and go Higgins to Roselle with a crash on the right shoulder. Veterans Memorial, very slow. The Boughton Toll to the Reagan Tollway and heavy from Army Trail to 290. I'm Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
Now that the holidays are over, it's time to start thinking a little bit about yourself. And one way would be to treat yourself to a MyPillow. There are many of you who have procrastinated, but don't put it off any longer. MyPillow is a premium pillow with 4 different loft levels that's customized to your individual preference. And for my listeners who use the promo code Amy, well, guess what? You'll get 2 pillows for the price of 1. It's MyPillow's best offer because it's so important to get a great night's sleep. MyPillow helps with snoring, headaches, and neck pain, insomnia, allergies. It's washable, keeps its shape, and gives you support where you need it most. That's why it's the official pillow of the National Sleep Foundation. For this 2 for the price of 1 offer, just visit MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201. Use the promo code Amy. Do it now, 800-489-0201 or online at MyPillow.com. Promo code Amy.
Hi, I'm Tom Sadeka, President and CEO of Precision Payroll of America. We're the 32-year-old company whose first employee and first client are still working together. With me today is one heck of a great service partner.
Thanks, Tom. Hi, I'm Andrea Kashaba, owner of Tulane & Associates Accounting and Tax Services here in Elk Grove, servicing small businesses since 1986. I heard Precision Payroll ads years ago. I called on behalf of one of my clients. Tom came out, met with us. Since then, we've added 6 more clients and absolutely love working with Tom and Precision Payroll. As an accounting professional, I love having the connection with Precision Payroll as it makes serving my clients even easier.
Andrea, thanks for coming in and sharing our success story. You are awesome and a joy to work with. If you want to partner with us or work with us, call me directly at 630-242-1507. That's 630-242-1507. Or on the web at precisionpayroll.com.
I just took Balance of Nature for the first time. You guys are awesome. God bless you.
I have CIDP. It's helped me with my balance. It's helped clear up my skin condition.
I honestly did notice a difference. That's why I reordered it.
I feel good. I really just feel good. Everything has changed. I just feel so much better.
There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that this product works. It's helped me as far as my overall health. I even recommended it to my mother, and she's been taking it, and she's 89 years old.
Get started early on your New Year's resolution with our best price of the year. Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
Hey, Joe Walsh here. Listen to Freedom any time of any day. Go to walshfreedom.com/podcast. Freedom returns at 5.
Amy, you're not playing that music from your vaginal radio, are you?
No.
Remember, we talked about the new invention on the market, a vaginal stereo to play songs if you're pregnant. So
vaginal speakers.
Yeah.
Because the baby likes to be relaxed with some music.
Who doesn't?
So what else are we putting up there, Dan?
Well, a new product on the market, cannabis-based vaginal suppository called Foria Relief, now on the market, claimed to get rid of period cramps.
Dan,
so
we call that menstrual cramping.
You're gonna have to. Well, I'm just reading from the story. Don't blame me. Blame People Magazine.
I have a testimonial here. Within 20 minutes, my cramps totally disappeared. What I was surprised about was the longevity. Myadol will wear off and I have to pop 6 pills a day. With Foria suppository, it did its job well into my evening. So it helps with cramping and bloatiness, and it's a suppository filled with marijuana.
Oh, it's like these words are like poetry. So you're going to have to make room there with the speakers and whatnot. I'll tell you what.
There's not enough room.
You know what? This is perfect for the trip to Cabo.
What?
Relaxing on the beach. Playing a little music.
And smoking a spliff.
A little, of sorts. Smoking it of sorts.
A bag of weed, oh, everything is better with a bag of weed. It's the only help that you'll ever need, because everything is better with a bag of weed.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago winters are brutal. But when you're homeless, they can be life-threatening. At 54, Trudy fell on hard times and ended up living on the streets. On cold winter nights, Trudy says the trick was to sleep on empty milk cartons to keep her body from freezing on the frozen ground. Well, thankfully, Trudy found Franciscan Outreach. Franciscan Outreach provides people who are homeless with hot meals, a warm bed, access to health care, and the support needed to improve their lives. Today, with the help of Franciscan Outreach, Trudy is employed, has permanent housing, and sleeps in her own warm bed on cold winter nights. Please find a home in your heart for those who are homeless. Visit franoutreach.org to find out how you can help. Your gift will help improve the lives of hundreds of people like Trudy every day. franoutreach.org. Make a difference today.
And now, a moment of objectivism with Yaron Brook and the Ayn Rand Institute.
How does economic inequality emerge in a free society? From a bunch of win-win transactions. When J.K. Rowling wrote Harry Potter books, she created something of value, a bunch of great stories that millions of people willingly and happily paid $20 a piece for. Now, what happened to inequality as a result? It grew. Rowling became a billionaire, while her fans saw their income stay the same and their wealth go down by a tiny amount, $20. Inequality grew, but everyone was better off as a result. That's the way inequality arises under freedom, and that's why it should. For more, see my book with Don Watkins, Equal is Unfair, America's Misguided Fight Against Income Inequality. Visit ARIradio.com. From the Ayn Rand Institute, I'm Yaron Brook.
This has been a moment of objectivism from the Ayn Rand Institute. To learn more, listen to the Yaron Brook Show, Saturdays at 4 on AM 560, and visit ARIradio.com.
Why are Ayn Rand's ideas so compelling? Her worldview, her philosophy, expressed dramatically in her novels Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead, embodies the ideals stated by the Founding Fathers in the Declaration of Independence and sets forth the requirements necessary to achieve a flourishing life. She called her philosophy objectivism and said it was a philosophy for living on Earth. Today, decades after her death, objectivism continues to stir debate and inspire passion for the spirit of individualism and the enduring American dream.
Some text reactions to the vaginal marijuana suppositories, particularly combining with the vaginal radio. Text from the Amish texter. Vaginal radio, isn't that 8:20 a.m.? Hi-oh.
Keep them coming. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Oh, boy. The mess that is the Chicago public school system. We'll talk through it and the prospect of a teacher strike with Jesse Sharkey, Vice President of the Chicago Teachers Union.
But first, into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, Alderman asked Mayor Emanuel to boost mental health services, and the widow of a Fox Lake police officer pleads not guilty. Intervals of clouds and sun today. WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. He says they just want to publicly embarrass him.
Martin Shkreli goes before a House hearing this hour, the former pharmaceutical executive who became a public enemy for jacking up the price of a life-saving drug.
On Twitter, Shkreli called out Maryland Congressman Elijah Cummings, the top Democrat on the Oversight Committee. Shkreli accused Cummings of trying to subvert his constitutional right against self-incrimination, deeming the call before Congress, quote, disgusting and insulting.
Fox's Chad Pergram. Shkreli's lawyer says he will not talk today. Shkreli's also facing unrelated fraud charges from his hedge fund. Bernie Sanders keeps attacking Congress for favoring Wall Street and corporations ahead of the American people.
It's an unpleasant truth, and I know that not everybody here will agree with me.
He's also painting Hillary Clinton as a moderate. She tells the CNN Democratic Forum her critics keep trying to get voters to distrust her.
I have to really demonstrate as clearly as I can who I am, what I stand for, and what I've always done.
Clinton and Sanders will debate one-on-one tonight, 5 days before the New Hampshire primary. In the Republican race, Donald Trump claims Ted Cruz fraudulently won Iowa for his supporters spreading a false rumor during the caucuses that Ben Carson was dropping out. Cruz says Trump's having a fit because he lost. There's new hope for a cure for diabetes, the type 1 form that usually hits people when they're kids or teens. Fox's Evan Brown has more live.
Dave Johnson & Johnson and biotech firm ViaCyte are working on a stem cell-based treatment for type 1 diabetes. It uses embryonic stem cells, and they're converted into insulin-producing cells, and they're implanted into the patient. They've been testing it with animals with great success, and the companies say if they can repeat the performance in people, it would amount to a cure for more than 1.25 million Americans with type 1 diabetes. The method could even be adoptable to type 2 or adult onset. Dave.
Evan, Secretary of State John Kerry is among leaders from 70 countries raising money in London for Syrian refugees.
To build self-reliance and to resume a normal life.
The U.S. is pledging another $925 million. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
We have sunshine in Chicago at this moment and 23 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Chicago police taking action to fire one officer and discipline 2 others. It's part of a case connected to former Mayor Richard Daley. These moves stem from a case in 2004 when prosecutors say the mayor's nephew, Richard Van Ecko, punched and killed David Kochman. Interim Superintendent John Escalante says he's moving to fire Lieutenant Dennis Walsh. A judge ordered a suburban Chicago woman held without bond in the poisoning death of her husband after prosecutors say she tried to kill him before. Julia Gutierrez of Geneva is charged with first-degree murder in the death of 53-year-old Eduardo Gutierrez. During a Wednesday hearing before a King County judge, Assistant State's Attorney Greg Sams says back in 2002, Gutierrez put up to 10 capsules of a sedative into her husband's smoothie. A Downers Grove man accused of shaking an infant daughter behind bars on $1 million bail. Timothy Churchill is charged with aggravated battery to a child younger than 13. Investigators in DuPage County believe Churchill may have shaken the little girl on 5 different occasions. Cook County Commissioner Jesus Chuy Garcia is casting his support behind a candidate in the state's attorney's race, announcing yesterday that Kim Foxx is, in his mind, more qualified than incumbent Anita Alvarez. Antoine Moore, 24 points in the Bulls win over Sacramento, 107-102. College baskets, Fighting Illini, a Big Ten win over Rutgers in triple overtime, 110-101. The news, a service of Jewel Osco, score big game savings at Jewel's 3-day sale. Get 10 pub burgers for just $10. Select varieties of Hormel chili with beans are just 99 cents. Limit 4. Top it off with Lucerne, chunk, or shredded cheese. 2 for $3. Limit 4. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat. It is a service of Turnkey.pro. And from the Fox Business Network, here's Lillian Wu.
From the Fox Business Network, oil prices bounce back and global markets along with them, though stock futures on Wall Street are now lower. Some key reports out today: weekly jobless claims, factory orders, and U.S. non-farm payrolls report. Martin Shkreli on Capitol Hill today, where lawmakers have questions about severe price hikes for a potentially life-saving drug sold by a company he acquired. But the CEO of Turing Pharmaceuticals has said he's exercising his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. Energy company ConocoPhillips reporting a fourth quarter loss of $3.45 billion. Dunkin' Donuts' fourth quarter results not so sweet either. It lost nearly $9 million. compared to a profit the same period a year earlier. And Marlboro cigarette maker Philip Morris pulling in $1.25 billion in profit for the fourth quarter. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Lillian Wu.
8:05 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Valentine's Day is next week, and Pro Flowers is offering an amazing deal. 1 dozen gorgeous assorted roses with a free glass vase and free chocolates for just $19.99. Order now from Pro Flowers to get huge savings, plus pick the delivery date and it's guaranteed. But hurry, this incredible offer expires this Friday. The only way to get this amazing deal is to visit proflowers.com. Click on the blue radio microphone in the upper right corner and enter the secret code ROSE37. That's code ROSE37.
At GoDaddy, a domain name is the beginning of something awesome. Use it to create a website to promote your business. Open an online store to sell your products. Start a blog. Build your brand. You can even connect your domain to your LinkedIn or Facebook page. And GoDaddy customer support is always ready to help. What will you do with your domain name? Get a .com domain name for only $2.99 for the first year. Right now at GoDaddy.com. 2-year purchase required. Second year is $14.99.
Meet Lawrence. He's making serious money on his own schedule driving with Uber.
With Uber, you can write your own paycheck. I was making more money driving part-time with Uber than I was making on my full-time job. You sign up, you get approved, and you start earning money right away. Right away, like the next day. It's just that simple. Turn it on when you want to make money, you turn it off when you don't. What are you waiting for?
Thanks, Lawrence. To start making great money with your car, sign up to drive today at drivewithuber.com. That's drivewithuber.com.
8:06 in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. On the far west side at Oak Park, Austin is closed between Madison and Washington due to a crash. The Edens runs 23 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose outbound 21. But the Kennedy, huge delay started Sayre. 1 hour and 8 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, 48 minutes from Montrose, 34 in the Express, outbound 32 minutes to the airport. The Eisenhower is 1 hour and 5 minutes from Thorndale to the Loop, outbound 35 minutes. Stevenson 1 hour and 4 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan 26 minutes, 95 to downtown. Southbound Lakeshore Drive jammed, Bryn Mawr to Fullerton, Anslow 18th to the Stevenson, northbound from the Stevenson to Jackson. Northbound Tri-State, scattered delays 95th to 31st, then it's the Roosevelt to North Avenue. Eastbound Adams Tollway stop and go Higgins to Roselle. Reagan Tollway from Naperville Road to 355 and the Veterans Memorial. There's heavy delays northbound from 75th to the Reagan Tollway and southbound Army Trail Toll to before Roosevelt. Crash in the left lane. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Clouds and sun today with a high 32. Patchy clouds at night, low 23. Turning cloudy tomorrow with a high 33 and remaining mostly cloudy through the night with a low 25. Sun and clouds for Saturday with a high of 39. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
23 and sunshine at O'Hare. Next news 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continue next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Property Tax Show, Saturdays at 6 p.m. Hosted by Brad Hayes, Chicagoland's property tax expert.
Good morning. Welcome to your Thursday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
Facing a primary showdown in New Hampshire just 6 days from now, Donald Trump is talking about a do-over in Iowa, where he came in second place behind Ted Cruz.
I wake up every day and laugh at the latest thing Donald has tweeted because he's losing it.
I think the next president needs to be a lot quieter, but send a signal that we're prepared to act in the national security interests of this country to get back in the business of creating a more peaceful world. Please clap.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So, how about this? CPS able to sell $725 million in bonds yesterday.
What was the interest rate, Dan? How high did it go?
Please clap.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want you to have a Jeb Bush moment.
Yeah, and they were able to do so by guaranteeing an 8.5% yield, which is slightly worse than you can get or have to guarantee in terms of ROI if you borrow from the Grand Avenue crew. So
do you mean loan sharks?
That's what I mean. So there's that. That will essentially keep the lights on for maybe another couple of months.
See, they told us that this would be good for until the end of the year.
Yeah, they're not good at math. I think that's been pretty clear. Forrest Claypool thinks that if you cut the budget by $100 million, that's how magically fills a $1 billion operating budget deficit. So assume that those in charge of CPS finances are off by about a factor of 10, just as a baseline when you hear them respond to things like the bond market or try and decipher their balance sheet as they attempt to stave off bankruptcy for political reasons, not financial ones. But now the question becomes, after the Chicago Teachers Union rejected a contract proposal from the Chicago public school system that they couldn't finance, where do we go from here? Are we looking at the prospect of a teacher strike now to complicate things even more? And to answer that question, we're now joined by Chicago Teachers Union Vice President Jesse Sharkey. Jesse, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Hey, and Amy, thanks for having me on.
So with the, I guess, talks kind of breaking off based on the rejection of this contract, are we, and there was also Sarah Karp tweeted the other day, education reporter, that the CTU was going to file an unfair labor practice so as to be able to strike sooner than the 105-day kind of waiting period. Are we looking at the prospect of a teacher strike in the not-too-distant future?
Well, you've asked three questions. Let me go through them.
Okay.
First of all, the talks haven't broken down. We have a mature bargaining relationship with the board, and as bad as things have gotten in the press, and if you think back in 2012 with the very public fight that was going on between Karen Lewis, our president, and the mayor, we never stopped talking through any of that. We, in fact, met the day after our bargaining committee rejected this latest offer. I mean, it wasn't a happy or fun meeting. It was pretty tense, but we're going to continue talking all the way through, and we've got further sessions that are scheduled. We're scheduled to meet tomorrow, for example. Fact-finding is beginning. That's a formal legal process. It will involve lots of negotiations. So talks haven't broken off. The second thing is that the discussion about an unfair labor practice is really connected to a threat which the board made in a letter to our members. I think it came out yesterday. People were certainly talking about it yesterday, in which they said, because our finances are bad, we're simply going to make a unilateral decision to stop paying 7% of your compensation, which is the pension pickup.
Right.
And the problem with that is that the way labor law works is that during negotiations, when you're bargaining in good faith, the union is not allowed to strike, and the board is not allowed to unilaterally impose a change in terms of work. And so kind of what we're saying is that if we're not allowed to strike, you can't simply announce, I'm going to cut your pay 7%. And if they do that, then all bets are off in terms of how we respond.
Then would you walk out of the classroom and onto the picket line?
We'd see. That would have to be a decision of our membership. But you get the points that I'm making about the way bargaining rules work is that they're not allowed to impose and we're not allowed to strike.
No, I mean, it's a fair point as long as you're negotiating. The question is, when do negotiations break down permanently if there is no coming to terms on the pension pickup, which seems to be the main sticking point?
We've said that, everything is on the table and that we understand the financial crisis the district is in. We even go as far as saying that we appreciate some of the serious things which they put in this latest offer. The problem is that you can't just take the cuts out of teachers and other school staff and expect to get this district back on its feet financially. I mean, the points that you guys were making earlier in the segment about the school's finances are things that we've been saying for years. And you will not be able to cut your way out of it on the school level and manage to have public education still work. Class sizes will be huge. Students will be deprived of critical services, especially special needs learners. And we don't think that cutting is the only way. We're not going to trust the serious things the district has to say. unless they can back that up by trying to seek more revenue. That has to be part of the discussion of what the solution is here.
Jesse, why is the CTU so fearful of bankruptcy? I mean, if the state takes over, declares bankruptcy, what is your biggest fear?
Well, our fear is that, the only thing that's a bigger train wreck than CPS right now is Illinois. And the idea of a state takeover doesn't seem, Rauner's saying, I can fix it. I'll get a contract with the teachers. Well, Rauner can't get a contract with the state workers over which he has direct influence and a constitutional role. So if he can't get a contract with AFSCME, how's he supposed to get a contract here?
Yeah, but other unions he's worked out deals with, I think, 16 other Teamsters? I mean, he can do it.
State takeovers of school districts have been a disaster everywhere they've been tried. And that's New Orleans prior to Katrina, that's Flint, that's Detroit, that's in New Jersey. A lot of the lowest performing school districts in the country, East St. Louis, have been taken over by their states. And it sounds like a good political solution, but the politicians that we're talking about here know nothing about real education.
Are you and Karen Lewis on the same page on this? Because I heard that Karen Lewis was more inclined to accept the offer that CPS proposed than maybe you were, and there may be a little bit of internal dissension in the ranks.
Yeah, that's not true at all.
Okay.
Our union had a House of Delegates meeting last night in which, by unanimous acclaim, people supported the decision of our bargaining committee. What Karen and I both said is that the district made some proposals that we have to take seriously. And, for example, the proposal of a charter cap. We need that. Charters have grown from 0 20 years ago to 130 today.
So charter schools are a bad thing?
Charter schools are one of the things that's driving the district's deficit. It's also one of the things that are driving neighborhood school closings, which are a very big issue among the public and among our members. And they've had basic
but aren't charter schools
growth.
Better performing schools than CPS? True
No,
or
they're
false?
not. That's just not true. False.
And
I can explain why. People compare charter schools are schools you have to apply to get into, and if you compare,
not all of them.
Yeah.
But some of them are application, but open enrollment, like for example, Urban Prep.
You're right about that.
Yes.
But so if you compare open enrollment, but lottery schools in CPS. Like the magnet schools do far better, and it's the same application process. If you compare charter schools to take all comers, just walk in the door and go to class, the schools of last resort, charter schools are better than those schools, but that's not a fair comparison.
Well, so if you could wave a magic wand, is the philosophical position that charter schools shouldn't exist?
Right now, what we're saying is that you need to check the growth of them. It's an uncontrolled element of cost. The district can't afford it. Why have they opened 130 new schools over the last 20 years? And you go and you look, that and debt are the two different kinds of debt are the three major things which are driving the district's budget problems. Teacher pay has actually gone down $150 million since 2011. If you look at the prospectus which CPS put to the bond market.
Last time we had you on the show, I appreciated that you actually answered. I think you're one of the first people ever to answer this question of give me the number. Give me the number, $15,000 per kid right now that CPS spends. Give me the number that makes it all better. And you gave me numbers. Basically said, well, we need about, $4,000.
About $1 billion.
Yeah, right, $1 billion. So maybe another, roughly $3,000 per kid in CPS. You said it's not serious if we're not talking about revenue. And so where do you think, I know you've made proposals about graduated state income tax and other proposals for revenue. That's not going to happen. So where do you think there is a possibility that you could get the additional revenue you say CPS needs and that you could have Tiny Dancer and CPS board and the General Assembly as needed agree?
I think that there is what we have to do now and then what we have to do eventually. And so when you say graduated income tax isn't going to happen, I don't know if it's not going to happen eventually. This state has got all kinds of problems itself, and being one of the few states with a flat tax structure doesn't help it. But immediately that we could get some transparency and do something about TIFs. Leader Curry just submitted a distressed school district TIF bill, which would apply some common rules to what's a TIF surplus and then move the surpluses back into school districts. and areas all over the state, including Chicago.
And the TIFs, I mean, how much are we talking about are in the TIFs? A few $100 million?
Yeah, I don't think it's not going to solve the problem.
Right.
I mean, we'd be talking about tens or maybe 100, 150 million, something in that order. But we're talking about an earnest payment, something that would be a down payment to show some faith. I think that they could pass a pension levy. There's a dedicated tax levy, and yes, it's a regressive tax. Our members would pay it. They live in the city, and so I'm not thrilled about it. But before '95, a portion of the property tax in the city went to the pension. It was dedicated. They changed that law in '95, diverted those funds elsewhere, never paid into the pension. And one of the reasons that we have the problem we have now is because that debt accumulated, and now we're paying the interest on it. That had 108 votes in the House, and there was a brick on it in the Senate. Rahm has a lot of power in the Senate. Past that, again, does it solve the whole problem? No, but it would be an act of good faith for a first step.
All right.
And then we could get on to some of the more serious long-term solutions.
All right, Jesse Sharkey, obviously we'll be paying close attention to this like everybody else. Thank you
Hey,
so
guys,
much for joining us.
Am I going to see you at the big rally down on LaSalle Street today at 4:30?
The big rally at LaSalle Street. I wasn't invited, and it
well,
requires
this is your formal invitation.
Well, we've got tea dance at Blaine, so we can't go.
I need it in writing, signed by Karen Lewis.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, Jesse.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Jesse.
it.
He joined us on
made
air.
the switch, and it feels so good. You switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Sunshine, high of 32 degrees, and tomorrow some sun and then clouds by the afternoon. Also a high of 32 degrees. Any sticky spots on the roadways? Here's Jim Telemonte.
Lots of them, Amy, this being Chicago. Glen Ellen, actually, we have a house fire reported on St. Charles at Highland. The inbound Kennedy's a mess. An hour and 8 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. 48 minutes from Montrose, 34 in the express lanes. Outbound 32 minutes from downtown to the airport. Inbound Edens, 23 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 21. The Eisenhower, now an hour and 7 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, 50 minutes from Manheim. Outbound 36 to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and 4 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive. It's fine outbound. Ryan is 30 minutes, 95th to downtown. Lakeshore Drive southbound jammed. Bryn Mawr to Fullerton and 18th to the Stevenson. Northbound from the Stevenson to Jackson. Northbound Veterans Memorial very slow from 75th to the Reagan Tollway and Butterfield past Roosevelt. Southbound jammed Army Trail to near Roosevelt due to a crash now on the shoulder. I'm Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
Gentlemen, Dan Proft here. Do you know your numbers? You may know your blood pressure and cholesterol, but do you know your testosterone? I do. Low T Center makes it easy. You walk in, take a simple blood test, and know your results within minutes. If you're a man over 40 and have noticed a decline in energy, stamina, or libido, you may have low testosterone. Low T makes you feel tired and grumpy. It can raise your cholesterol and cause weight gain. Low T Center's experienced medical staff will educate you on the benefits and risks of testosterone replacement. At Low T Center, it takes just minutes for results, and services are covered by most health insurance. And they now offer convenient and flexible hours. So do yourself a favor and get your levels checked at Low T Center. Call today, 630-409-4305. That's 630-409-4305. Or visit lowtcenter.com and tell them Dan Proft sent you.
Everywhere you go, the threat looms. It follows you no matter what you do. The longer you avoid the IRS and the financial difficulties you're going through, the closer they get to you. John DeWatt of Thinking Outside the Box Law Firm can help you end the feeling of being hunted by the IRS. If you've avoided taxes or could benefit from the life-saving assistance of bankruptcy, it's time you call John DeWatt. This is an attorney who is willing to take on the federal government on your behalf. He has worked to discharge thousands of dollars in penalties, and he can help you settle your debts once and for all. Call 888-777-4193. Let the hunters become the hunted. Let John DeWatt of Thinking Outside the Box Law Firm deal with the IRS personally. Call John for your own relief plan. 888-777-4193 or online at thinkingoutsidetheboxlaw.com. That's thinkingoutsidetheboxlaw.com.
Running a business can be challenging, especially here in Illinois. You face mountains of regulations on top of mountains of taxes and fees, not to mention new Obamacare requirements. Business owners who manage to survive and thrive deserve to be recognized, and that's exactly what we here at AM 560 The Answer are going to do. This spring, we'll be hitting the road on the AM 560 Business Tour presented by Signature Bank. It's a way for us to celebrate local businesses who are overcoming the odds and succeeding in spite of the many challenges they face. We want to give back to the business community by broadcasting this show live from various locations throughout Chicagoland. Does your business have a great success story? If so, we want to hear about it. Go to 560theanswer.com/business and fill out the brief form to tell us about how you and your business are beating the odds to serve your clients in your community. We'll select several businesses as stops on our AM 560 business tour, and we'll broadcast from your location to share your success with our audience. We hope to inspire other business owners and show the world that, yes, you did build that. So go to 560theanswer.com/business to tell us your story, and we may be stopping at your location this spring on the AM 560 business tour.
Let freedom ring this afternoon at 2 with Sean Hannity, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
Dan and Amy are talking to Jesse Sharkey from the Teachers Union. Apparently rally today at 4:30.
It's going to be big. It's going to be huge.
Unavailable. Is this thing...
You should go and represent the show because I'm unavailable as well. Mother duties.
Yeah, I'll take that under advisement.
Thank you.
Let's go to Verlin on the south side. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
How you doing, Dan and Amy? I got a big question. It's a big question. It's short and simple, but it's big. Now, how much is education worth? We are past a $550 million property tax hike to pay for the police to kick our butt and for their lawsuits and their pensions, but yet we let the population get stupid. We let the kids just fall off the wagon and get stupid. We treat locally the same way as we treat nationally. We'll get a military, all the spending in the world, but we cut domestic spending. How much is teaching our kids worth? Answer me that, Dan.
Okay, Verlin. The premise of your question is wrong, unfortunately. Here's the deal, Verlin. Spending on K-12 education in Illinois has increased threefold in the last 20 years in real terms, adjusted for inflation. And what are we producing as a result? CPS spends more money per pupil than does the public school district in Wheaton, where I grew up. And you want to compare the results? So that the idea that you can pour more and more money into a system that is proven it is incapable of producing what you want it to produce at any cost is the fallacy. Instead, we need to be thinking about how you reform, how you rethink and restructure and reintroduce a system so that it produces the results we all want it to produce. Because I'll write the check. I'll write any check you want me to write if you could guarantee me, like Jesse Sharkey says he can, that $3,000 more per pupil is going to turn CPS from one of the worst school systems in America to one of the best. It's a lie. It's the same lie we've been told for the last 50 years in Chicago, and I'm tired of abiding the lie at exorbitant prices. That's all. Thanks for the call, Verlin.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If you're keeping people up at night with your snoring, that's disrespect. What you need to do is get this fixed. Get a Zyppah at ZYPPAH.com. Zyppah.com. Now, why do I know what I'm talking about? Because I've been in your shoes. I was snoring so loud, my new bed was on the couch. I decided to do something about it, all right? You could do this too. Go to Zyppah now, buy it, and stop the snoring. That's ZYPPAH.com. Zyppah.com. Are you sitting there sleeping on the couch? That's terrible. You're supposed to stay close. You're supposed to have that pillow talk, watch the television shows that you like. But no, you're sitting there by yourself on a couch because you snore. So what you got to do is get a Zyppah at ZYPPAH.com. Zyppah.com. That's ZYPPAH.com. Zyppah.com. Happy Z spelled backwards.
Order now. Use promo code 301 for free shipping.
This Valentine's Day, give your sweetheart rich chocolatey brownies from the Vermont Brownie Company, featuring decadent flavors like dark chocolate with just a touch of sea salt, buttery maple toffee, and walnut chunk. These brownies are ridiculously good. But just don't take my word for it. Vermont Brownie is so extraordinary. It beat world-famous chef Bobby Flay, Flavy Flay, from the Food Network. So surprise and delight your Valentine with a sampler pack of some of the best brownies she'll ever taste. They're baked using farm-fresh ingredients. It's bliss in every bite. To order and save 10%, use promo code 2000. Your gift comes specially packaged with a free personalized gift card. So go ahead, indulge. What are you waiting for? To give the sweetest gift for under $20, use promo code 2000 at checkout. That's code 2000 to save 10% at VermontBrownie.com. Go to VermontBrownie.com ballanceofnature.com. Delivery guaranteed. Hurry, this offer ends soon.
I'm amazed. I want to say thank you to Balance of Nature. You guys are awesome. God bless you. The reason I have so much enthusiasm is because I speak as a person who has investigated the things that are out there. What I see is that there's many, many people telling the same story, and it's ruining it for the people who really are true. You know, up until this point, I had a lot of doubt whether, you know, I have an instinct that there should be something you can spend some money on and get something good, and I hadn't found it, and I believe I have found it this time. So, again, awesome, and thank you.
The top 3 New Year's resolutions are health-related. Improve your odds by getting started early with our best price of the year. Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, he's back.
And we'll ask him if his son is too conservative to be president of the United States, too religious to be president of the United States. Rafael Cruz, father of Ted Cruz, joins us at 8:38.
And then later, adult coloring books, they're flying off the store shelves. We'll explain why. But first, back into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
Sunshine in 23. Undercover CIA agents were mentioned indirectly in emails sent to former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's private email server. The news breaking this morning, officials say one of those emails was sent by the chief of staff for then Defense Secretary Leon Panetta. Officials with Clinton's presidential campaign argue that misleading details are now being leaked to harm her presidential campaign. The president, members of Congress, and international leaders are gathered for the National Prayer Breakfast this opened by House Speaker Paul Ryan.
We believe that our rights come from God, and our job as office holders is to protect those rights. So it is only natural that we should ask for his guidance as we seek to do his will.
Over 3,500 attending this morning. Another problem developing with automotive airbags, this one resulting in recalls of 5 million vehicles. Continental Automotive Systems says that moisture can get inside its airbag control computers, causing power supplies to corrode and fail.
But you know what we're going to do for health care? We're going to reduce your health care cost by $5,000. So you're going to pay a little bit more in taxes, but you're no longer going to have to pay private health insurance premiums.
Sanders meeting Clinton last night in a town hall meeting on CNN. A developing story from Chicago's Loop this morning as Tribune Publishing is getting a $44 million cash lifeline, a boost from an investor here in Chicago who will become the non-executive chairman of that company that owns the Chicago Tribune newspaper and LA Times. However, the man throwing that lifeline is the CEO of the Chicago Sun-Times, Michael Farrow, of Chicago's Merrick Media, who will become the non-executive chairman at Tribune Publishing, replacing Eddie Hartenstein, who will remain a director there. Tribune Publishing has had to trim staff, and revenue has slumped as readers and advertisers continue to migrate away. A patient on the north side of Chicago is undergoing testing for the Zika virus. Officials at President St. Joseph's Hospital say a person at that facility has shown symptoms to be consistent with the Zika virus. Bulls beat Sacramento last night 107-102 in the Big Ten. Illinois scratches out a win over Rutgers 110-101 in triple overtime. The news service of Compassion International. There's a little girl or boy living in poverty right now and they don't have enough to eat. Maybe they're sick or can't go to school. You can release them from that poverty when you become a sponsor with Compassion International. Find out how at compassion.com/radio. 8:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher sees 2 reasons for Bernie Sanders' rise.
It would be because of perhaps millennials who are very excited about free stuff, because that's what Bernie Sanders keeps offering. Meanwhile, Hillary is up to her eyeballs with the new reports about top secret emails on her server. Most people don't trust her, and maybe this is why a 74-year-old socialist is doing so well.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
You'll never bite a burger better than a Bubba. From backyard barbecues to tailgating for the big game, Bubba Burger is always the quality and convenience you can trust. Find them in your local grocer's freezer today.
My name is David Hochberg, and I'm Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. That's right, I'm now Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, give me a call. I'm the same guy that's provided listeners with honest advice and outstanding customer service for the past 13 years. The only thing that's changed is where I work. When you had questions about purchasing a home, you called me and I helped you. When you and your parents had questions about reverse mortgages, you called me and I helped you. When you needed help refinancing to lower your mortgage payments so you could afford the home after your spouse passed away, you called me and I helped you. If you'd like to talk to me about a mortgage, give me a call at 312-751-1333. That's 312-751-1333. Email me, david@pearldavid.com. That's david@PERLDavid.com. Or visit my website, am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage is an equal housing lender, Illinois residential mortgage licensee, 4358, licensed by DBO under California RMLA and MLS 19186, pearlmortgage.com licensing.
8:36, time to check the climate of your business with aircomfort.com. 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. And time to check the roads in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Inbound Kennedy, delays start at Nagel. It is an hour and 4 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. 40 minutes from Montrose, 34 in the Express. Outbound 28 minutes downtown to O'Hare. Edens, 24 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 19. The Eisenhower, an hour and 7 minutes, Thorndale to the Loop, 51 minutes from Manheim, outbound 34 to Thorndale. Stevenson, 59 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 5. Ryan is 30 minutes, 95th to downtown. Lakeshore Drive delays, southbound Bryn Mawr to Fullerton and 18th to the Stevenson, northbound from the Stevenson to Jackson. Northbound Tri-State, there are slow pockets between 95th and 31st, and slow Roosevelt to North Avenue. Eastbound Adams Tollway all tied up from Barrington Road to 53. Veterans Memorial, slow southbound Army Trail to before Roosevelt after a crash. Northbound 75th most of the way to Roosevelt. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com weather center, aircomfort.com. 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Clouds and sunshine today. High 32. We have sunshine and 23 at O'Hare. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Advanced Planning Advisors, bringing you Smart Money Talk with Mike Moylan and Rob Curvin, Saturday mornings at 6.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy. So, Amy, Donald Trump's still talking about Iowa.
Yeah, he wants a do-over.
Yeah, he said Ted Cruz stole the election, illegally stole it, which is a bit redundant. He wants to have it vacated or have a do-over. He has not moved on. Ted Cruz and everybody else seems to have. And Ted Cruz finds the whole kind of Donald Trump act kind of entertaining.
He is calling you a cheater. He's calling you a fraud. Does this cross the line for you?
Oh, listen, Donald's insults get more and more hysterical the more and more upset he gets.
Do you think they're funny?
I think they're very funny. I think Donald, I wake up every day and laugh at the latest thing Donald has tweeted because he's losing it.
See, that's where he could have gone into his Joe Pesci. How's he? Or Donald Trump could go into his Joe Pesci. I mean, I guess he would have to go into his Ray Liotta about how is he funny? Is he funny like a clown?
Oh, like funny, haha.
Yeah. And we should also note, again, both Rand Paul and Rick Santorum dropping out yesterday. Rick Santorum endorsing Marco Rubio.
And Rand Paul, I heard, was endorsing Ted Cruz, but I don't believe that to be true.
Well, there was no formal announcement that he was endorsing Ted Cruz, so I guess we'll have to wait to see. He's got a Senate re-election. I'd be surprised if he waded into this contest, at least at this stage. But here's how the news was broke to Ted Cruz about Santorum leaving the race and endorsing Rubio.
Yeah. Who's this?
This is Vinny.
Vinny, what happened?
Well,
we got straightened out?
No, we had a problem. I mean, we tried to do everything we could.
What do you mean? Well, you know what I mean. He's gone. And we couldn't do nothing about it. That's it.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
He's gone. He's gone. And that's it.
Yeah, so he's gone.
He's gone. That's it. Yeah.
All right, so how is all of this translating to campaigning, the retail campaigning going on in New Hampshire? For more on that, we're now joined by Pastor Rafael Cruz, the father and lead surrogate for Ted Cruz. Pastor Cruz, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Dan, great to be with you and Amy.
And I should mention your new book out again, Time for Action, which people will want to check out. So, some sniping back and forth as you're going to have in a heated political campaign as all the candidates, well, most of the candidates move from Iowa to New Hampshire. But how is Ted Cruz being received in New Hampshire, whereas the pundits keep pointing out he doesn't have that base of evangelical support like he had in Iowa?
Well, things are going very well in New Hampshire. He has more support than people give him credit for. You know, New Hampshire has a lot of libertarians. And actually now with Rand Paul concentrating on his Senate race, I think all of those libertarians are going to coalesce around Cruz because, they Rand and my son work together on many issues on the Hill. Rand is a good, principled, constitutional, and so is my son. And so I think he will attract a lot of those libertarians and, all the Tea Parties, 40 different Tea Parties in New Hampshire, basically all agreed to support my son Ted. So we expect we're going to have a lot of support from the grassroots. Ted has a great ground game there. And so I think we're going to surprise some people.
So,
we're working hard, and Ted, of course, doesn't take anything for granted. He is doing a lot of retail stops every day in New Hampshire. He flew to New Hampshire the night right after the Iowa caucus and had his first event there the next morning.
So has your son spoken to Rand Paul, and is Rand Paul endorsing him or telling his constituents
I
to
do
support
not know.
Ted?
I do not know. I have not talked to him about it. But they think alike. They have supported each other in a lot of issues, and it would be a welcome help. We respect Rand Paul very, very, very much. When Ted was running for Senate, both Rand and Ron endorsed Ted.
So what's your role in New Hampshire? What are you up to out there?
Well, I'm actually flying right now to South Carolina.
Oh, you're moving ahead. Yeah, okay.
My son is going to be in New Hampshire all week, but I'm going to be in South Carolina, and we're trying to split ourselves to where we can cover more territory. So.
All right. When we have to address the issue about Ted Cruz apologizing to Ben Carson for spreading rumors that he was dropping out. It seems to be an issue that isn't going away. Do you think the apology is enough, or do you think your son was trying to play dirty tricks to get some voters?
There were no dirty tricks at all. The thing that is disheartening is why doesn't the news concentrate on the real culprits? I mean, CNN was the one that put the innuendo that Carson was going to Florida, was not going to New Hampshire or South Carolina, and from Florida he was going to D.C. But, CNN was the one that put that out, and as I understand, there were two other campaigns that also tried to say, well, if Carson is getting out, let's try to get those votes.
Yeah.
And yet the news are very silent about that.
Well, you know how the Washington Press Corps works. They want to hold politicians accountable, but they themselves are not accountable to anyone. So there's the disconnect, I would suggest. Now, in South Carolina, since you're jumping ahead and heading down there where Ted Cruz is in second place behind Trump at present, according to the Real Clear Politics polling average, Jeff Duncan, three-term congressman in South Carolina, endorsed Ted Cruz, essentially repeating the reason Ted Cruz has given as his value proposition, which is he's the consistent conservative that people can rely on. Are you going to be doing events with Duncan, or what's the schedule in South Carolina to make up the gap?
I'm not sure about my schedule. I know I'm going to be doing a pastor's conference early next week, and I will be crisscrossing the states. I have many friends in the state. I've spent a lot of time in South Carolina, and we feel very, very good about South Carolina.
Now, you're a pastor, as I've been referencing, and you're starting to hear from the left after Ted Cruz's victory in Iowa, about the scary religious right and that Ted Cruz supporters are the scariest of the scariest religious right. For people who are not particularly faith-based and hear some of the demagoguery from the left in particular about Christians, what would you say to them about the infusion of religious language in our politics?
Well, what is scary about trying to follow the rule of law, about getting back to the Constitution and limited government, about protecting life, about protecting our moral fiber? I mean, there's nothing scary about that. That's the foundation of America. America was founded as a Judeo-Christian country. It's the only country in the world that was founded by men and women seeking the freedom to worship Almighty God. And as a matter of fact, pastors were at the forefront of the American Revolution. That's who we are. And, I think that, the moral foundation of America needs to be preserved. Otherwise, we're going to have chaos. The problem is that we have a new religion moving ahead in America, and that is secular humanism. And that is a religion that says that you're your own God. And if you're your own God, whatever you want to do is okay because there's nothing else. And that's what's happening.
Yeah, bingo. Yeah, you're preaching to the choir here, at least with me.
Pastor Rafael Cruz, why do you think that your son may rub some people the wrong way?
Well, because people that want to preserve the status quo, he threatens them. He has found a lot of people against him in Washington because he has called them out. He calls out what he calls the Washington cartel, the corrupt career politicians in both parties. And it is because of this corruption in Washington that a conservative that stands on principle stands out. And when you expose them, they don't like it. I speak very clearly in my book, A Time for Action, about this danger of secular humanism and the dangers of for example, you hear so much from this administration about freedom of worship. And people just don't understand that freedom of worship and freedom of religion are two entirely different things, and I explain that very clearly in my book. Worship is defined as what you do inside of a house of worship. Every communist country has freedom of worship. That means you keep your religion inside the four walls of the church. If you take it out to the marketplace, we're going to put you in jail. And that's really what we see more and more and more. We see a direct, outright attack on religion in America and on the freedom of the individual to worship God as he or she feels. And this is the real threatening thing. I mean, when you see, for example, Melissa Klein fined $135,000 for saying to someone who was a client of hers for years, I'm sorry, I cannot cater your same-sex marriage. It violates my religious beliefs. And she's slapped with a lawsuit when there were dozen bakers that they could have gone to. Or even worse, the case of Dick and Betty Odgaard. And I describe all of these cases in my book, A Time for Action. Dick and Betty Odgaard had a chapel for many years where they performed weddings and catered weddings and so on and so forth. A same-sex couple came demanding to be married, and they said, I'm sorry, we cannot do it. It violates our religious beliefs. Well, they got slapped with a lawsuit. They lost basically their chapel, their business, their ministry. But the ironic thing is that couple had already been married several months before. Oh. It wasn't about marriage. It was all about shutting down their business.
And position of views. That's right. Pastor Rafael Cruz, the father of Ted Cruz, surrogate, of course, for Ted Cruz's presidential campaign. Appreciate your remarks. The book is A Time for Action. Now, I'm a Ted Cruz supporter, but I got to say, if he wins New Hampshire, tell him he's got to keep the victory speech under 15 minutes. All right?
Well, I'll tell you, there was so much energy in that room. I mean, that whole ballroom was packed. I mean, there were people standing against the walls. And I guess it was just so much euphoria. But you know something, Dan? When I was standing there, I couldn't contain the tears from my eyes, because I think back 58 years before, I came to this country with nothing, couldn't even speak the language. To see my son now as a U.S. Senator and potentially being the next president of the United States of America, all that comes to my mind is only in America.
Yeah.
Only in America. Where else can that happen in one generation?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a great story, and regardless of what happens in this presidential campaign, congratulations on your family's success as well as your personal success. Pastor Rafael Cruz, the author of A Time for Action. Thanks so much for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Dan and Amy, it's so great to be with you. God bless you. God bless each and every one of you listeners.
Thank you. Thanks. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Plenty of sunshine today, going up to a high of 32 degrees. No complaints here. Tonight it's going to be patchy clouds, a low of 22 degrees, but the warmth kicks in just a little bit tomorrow. We'll have some sun, then turning cloudy by the afternoon, a high again of 32. Any consistent travel times on the roadways? Here's Jim Talamonte.
Amy and Dan, things are improving a bit on most of the expressways and tollways. The Edens is now clear outbound. Inbound, you've still got a 4 or 5 minute delay from Peterson to the junction. Inbound Kennedy, an hour from O'Hare to downtown. Express lanes save maybe 2 minutes. Outbound, 28 minutes downtown to O'Hare. The Eisenhower, an hour and 5 minutes. Thorndale to the Loop. Outbound just 31 minutes now. Stevenson, 59 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan is 30 minutes, 95th to downtown. Lakeshore Drive still very slow southbound. Bryn Mawr to Fullerton and 18th to the Stevenson. Northbound heavy from Stevenson to Jackson. Tollways are improving. Do have an issue just reported on the near north side. Report of a person hit by a car, Chicago Avenue at Franklin. I'm Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
Who wants to go to Mexico with Dan for an entire week? He'll play golf with you. He'll do spin classes with you. He'll take long walks along the beach with you.
I'll bring the vaginal marijuana suppositories.
Don't forget the speakers. And yeah, we are heading to Los Cabos, Mexico, April 2nd through the 9th, Saturday to Saturday. Our trip is presented by Dermatology and Plastic Surgery Associates and by Artistic Dentistry. Now, the exclusive Apple Vacations price has expired, but there's still some spots available. So if you want to join us in Cabo, you need to take action and do it now. We're staying at the beautiful Secrets Puerto Los Cabos Golf and Spa Resort. Go online and check out this place. It is top-notch, well-appointed rooms, all suites, adults only. All rooms face the ocean. And also on property, 2 9-hole golf courses, one designed by Jack Nicklaus, the other designed by Greg Norman. So to book your trip, you must visit 560theanswer.com, keyword escape. That's 560theanswer.com, keyword escape.
You are a sign business, you want to grow, and you want to make more money. So do I. I want to partner with you. This is Dave Carlson, and my sign company is Franco Carlson & Company. We've been doing business in Chicago since 1894. With millions of dollars of state-of-the-art equipment, we can do any job. Trade shows, bus and vehicle wraps, banners for special events, even custom wallpaper. We can help you expand your sign business. If there is an order, any order, or a piece of business that you don't have the capabilities to do yourself, we can do it with you. You don't have to turn away any sign or print business any longer. Speed and quality to meet your deadlines. You have my word on that. Expand your sign business. Take any order. Make more money. Become a partner with Franco Carlson & Company. Contact me for a quote or stop by for a tour of our shop. Franco Carlson & Company. We are the sign company's partner.
Call Franco Carlson & Company at 773-847-6900. 773-847-6900.
I'm Dan Proft with an Upstream idea brought to you by the Illinois Opportunity Project. 27 Illinois state employees, on average, receive total compensation 27% higher than their private sector counterparts. State employees made nearly $4,000 more in wages and $13,000 in benefits than private sector employees. More than half of state workers will retire before the age of 60 with a guaranteed state pension. The state is in a financial death spiral with ground impact imminent, so keep this in mind as Governor Bruce Rauner breaks off contract talks with AFSCME, the state's largest public sector union. AFSCME has been unwilling to give on its demands for annual step increases of 3.8%, in addition to annual general wage increases. The lowball estimate of the cost of what AFSCME demands is $1.6 billion. That's $1.6 billion more from Illinois families who already pay the highest property taxes in the nation. This is Governor Rauner's moment of truth. He ran for office saying he is not a politician. He said he is a businessman who will make the difficult decisions to turn around the state he loves. We're about to find out if that's true. For more Upstream ideas, visit upstream-ideas.com. I'm Dan Proft.
Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues now. And make sure to stay tuned to catch me, Mike Gallagher, coming up at 9, only on AM 560, The Answer.
You know, I made you a nice picture over here. I was coloring for you while you were doing some business.
Doing my business. Yeah, I noticed. And much like on this show, you were unable to color inside the lines.
Oh, that is not true. I always color inside the lines.
Were you? Were you very?
It didn't start out that way, but I eventually caught on, and because I have horrible penmanship.
Uh-huh.
If you ever want a threatening letter written, just come to me and I'll
looks like a
pen
ransom
it for
note.
You. Oh, everything does, yeah.
No.
Or a doctor, people I've been told.
Well, in this era where 26-year-olds are children, we have a lot of adult children running around.
Oh, yeah, because of Obamacare, it's great.
And the infantilization of America by the government.
I was thinking the same word, infantilization of America.
That's weird. We're on the same wavelength like that. Intricate adult coloring books, latest lifestyle craze to grip the United States. Booming sales, libraries falling all over themselves to host adult coloring book workshops.
Oh, okay.
A creative arts psychotherapist in Manhattan, insert joke there, said, it calms us down to be coloring. And, of course, where did this trend start? Europe. So it's, the trendy, cool thing to do. If you're really with it, if you're really in the presence of coloring the colors and just being with the art, it's a wonderful way to support calming and presence and relaxation.
Well, I have high blood pressure, and they said that, either knit or color, and so I've chose to color.
You could have gone the Rosie Greer way, crochet. That's what I would say, crochet. Try that out.
Okay, thanks.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Sean Hannity is right. IRS problems can be devastating. I'm attorney Stephen Leahy, host of the IRS Radio Hour, heard right here on this station every Sunday evening at 5 o'clock. And I help business owners, 1099 employees, and those with unfiled tax returns solve their IRS problems. I know you want a local attorney you can look in the eye and hold accountable for solving your IRS problem, not some big box outfit without a Chicago connection. So if you fear the IRS will take your money, bank account, wages, or visit your home or job, and now they can take your passport, you need to hire me to solve your IRS problem for good. Today, I have a special bonus. If you are one of the first 25 to call and hire me to solve your IRS problem, we will prepare your 2015 tax return for free. Call me, attorney Stephen Leahy, your Chicago IRS answer man at 312-664-6649. Again, that's 312-664-6649. One more time, 312-664-6649. Or visit us on the web at chicagotaxteam.com. Don't wait. Call me now and get the IRS out of your business and your life for good.
Ladies and gentlemen, maybe we can't stop time, but these bags and puffiness under your eyes don't need to be there. And now, thanks to Genucell, you can definitely get rid of them. The new Genucell plant stem cell therapy for bags and puffiness under the eyes comes from our friends at Chamonix. And it's doing just that for men and women all across this great country of ours. Why wait? Order it now and see the difference. Josie from Littlefield, Arizona just loves it. She writes, I've been using Genucell for 2 weeks, and my husband, he's amazed, and he says all the puffiness is gone. And guess what, Josie? Your husband can use Genucell too. It does work for men and women. And with its instant effects, which is a separate product, you'll see results in as little as 12 hours, guaranteed, or your money back. So call Genucell right now, 800-525-8323. That's 800-525-8323. Call now and you'll get their legendary Esotique face cream absolutely free with your order. Genucell, 800-525-8323.
A beauty day to play 18, huh, Dale? 80 degrees and not a cloud in the sky. This is the life. The forecast looks great for the next 3 days, too. Looks like we'll just schedule 3 more courses this week. Tee it up.
You've been pretty lucky that you've been able to spend some quality time in the sun. Something that you may not be so lucky with is the fact that 1 in 5 people will develop skin cancer in their lifetime. At Dermatology and Plastic Surgery Associates,